Well. How are we doing, all of you beautiful people out there in the KOE nation? I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil KOE, and it is a pleasure. It is a pleasure. It is my pleasure to be with all of you beautiful people here. We're going to discuss all the topics of the day. We're going to get into all kinds of crazy stuff. But first and foremost, folks, gather round. I'm just going to make sure that all this is working. Excellent. Oh, you got a double fill there for a second. So two fills for the price of one. I mean, my goodness, that's pretty much the best deal in the history of ever. So let me turn all my wackies off on my phone so no one will interrupt us. Yes. But come on in. The water's fine. Don't worry, folks. Lord Almighty. So, folks, there's a lot of things going on today. Today is National Bourbon Day. I don't know if a lot of you know that, but yeah, today is National Bourbon Day amongst many other things. But we are going to get into that amongst other things. But folks, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, all gather. Come on in. The water is fine. And for this particular Bourbon Day, I am going to be enjoying Maker's Mark 101, because what is more apropos than this particular elixir? Yes, just a little bit to get me started. But yes, Maker's Mark 101 is one of the essential daily drinkers, in my opinion. And because this is a weekday, I'm not going to get anything. I'm not getting into anything too terribly hot, too terribly heavy. But I figured, hey, it's the perfect time. It's Bourbon Day. But also, what a lot of you folks might not know is it is also someone's birthday. It is the birthday of the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And here, folks, is my toast to him, the birthday toast. Now let's make sure this works as well. Happy birthday, President Trump. Welcome, one and all, to the KOE Nation for the continuation of the Presidential Birthday Toast Series. Today, we raise our glass of Trump wine to President Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of these United States. So, whenever you make a video about modern day presidents, you always have to be careful because there's always going to be controversy. You're always going to have half of your audience is going to be really pissed off and the other half is going to be like, hooray. And so for this one, I'm just going to give down the line. This is our birthday tribute to one Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of these United States. His term was quite the ride, wasn't it, folks? Boy, it was a time. It was an era, and it's one that we're gonna look back on and tell future generations about. We were there. But yes, Donald J. Trump, one of the only presidents that I know of that appointed 3 Supreme Court justices in one term. And his other big accomplishments, he had a tax cut that was able to pass through the House and Senate, and he got signed. And also, to his credit, love him or hate him, the first president since Harding to not get us into any new wars. So that alone. So folks, wherever you're at, whatever you're drinking, this evening I am going to be drinking in toast a bottle of Trump wine from Trump Vineyard, their Meritage release from Monticello, the 2017. So this was actually, the grapes were harvested, pressed. There we go. They were grown, harvested, and pressed, then fermented, then bottled, then stored, and then brought to market, all while Donald J. Trump served in the White House as the president of these United States. So, folks, every last one of you, raise a glass to the 45th president of these United States, one Donald J. Trump. Happy birthday, Mr. President. So, folks, There's a lot more coming down the pike from the Presidential Birthday Toast series. Be sure to stay right here at K.O.E Nation, YouTube and Twitch to find it all. But we will get to those on their day. Today is President Trump's Day. Raise your glass one more time, folks, to Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Excellent, excellent stuff. You need to give it a shot sometime. Their Meritage release from Trump Vineyards. But folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. And what the hey, it's my show. Raise your glass one more time to President Donald J. Trump. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Catch you around, folks. There we go. We'll pause that there for a moment. So how are we all doing, you beautiful people? But yes, today is not only National Bourbon Day, but it is the the birthday, there we go, of the 45th president of these United States, Donald J. Trump. And boy, howdy. Like I said in the video, it's been a wild ride, folks, and we'll see where... There's quite a few folks that say that story is not even over yet, but in conjunction, if you will, with that particular video, there is another one that I figure is just as apt to show. And I will get that all queued up here in a moment, folks. Don't you worry. But yeah, the Trump presidency, these presidential birthday toasts are sometimes difficult because when you're dealing with past presidents, there's problems there. And when you're dealing with modern presidents, half of everybody watching it's going to be pissed off and the other half is going to think you're fucking the second coming. Oh, thank you so much for... And I've tried to stay as positive as I can for every president, even though that can be difficult. This year I straight up skipped Tyler. I've missed a few of them. Excuse me. But Tyler, I intentionally skipped because I don't know how to go about doing that because it's just, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's the guy after his presidency actually served in the Congress of the Confederacy, and so he just does hold my distinguishment as my least favorite president. So that's a tough one for me. So I'm going to take another year to think on that one. We got a couple of presidential birthdays coming up next month, but we will get to those when we get to them. But folks, one that we do need to see right now is actually my review of Trump wine. I actually do a full review of the wine that I use to toast President Trump, and it's a Meritage release from the Trump Vineyard from Monticello. If you're a Thomas Jefferson history buff, this is Jefferson's Monticello. So here we go, folks. Without further ado, let's get right in to this wine review. Welcome, one and all, to the K.O.E Nation for a very special wine review. Today, we are getting into Trump wine, their Meritage release, estate bottled Monticello red wine, 2017. So, folks, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Trump wine. Some of you are either curious and you're thinking about getting a bottle, or you just stumbled on this video because you had no idea that Trump had a wine. This vineyard was in fact purchased by President Donald J. Trump, and it was later given to his son Eric, who currently administers Trump Vineyards in Virginia. So this is Virginia wine. So it's kind of a twofer. You get a presidential curiosity, and also it's a Virginia wine. And don't worry, folks. Don't be afraid. The Virginia wine revolution is upon us. So let's get right into this. So Trump Vineyard, it's on Monticello. I'm not sure if that's actually the Monticello of Thomas Jefferson fame, or if it's adjacent to the property, or what the situation is with that. Be sure to let me know in the comments, folks. There we are. Such an essential little tool. There we are. Yes, and I always say, go with a server's lever. But so, 2017 Meritage, for those who don't know, this is basically their take on the Bordeaux blend. So we will see how this goes. As far as I know, oh, it's got right here. It's 51% Merlot, 40% Cab Franc, 5% Malbec, and 4% Petit Verdot. So we'll see how that goes, folks. I'm looking forward to this. It's just, I remember I watched a blind taste test where it was folks who politically were not inclined to agree with President Trump, not unknowingly trying his wine, and it turned out, here we go. Are you ready? There we go. Wine is not corked. Ooh, all right. Let's take a pour here, folks. Oh my. So, Trump wine. Let's let a little air get in there, folks. Got to do that. Oh my. That is fruity. There's citrus there. It says on the back of the bottle, but I don't want to read it until after I give a couple of, I mean, just like juicy, vibrant, and sweet. I think I opened this one at just the right time because I'm not getting overwhelmed with any kind of tannin smell, but let's see how it hits the palate. But God, that is a marvelous nose. Let's see how it hits the palate, folks. Okay, there's some more earthy, slight like coffee on the tongue. Not very heavy, but very slight. The citrus comes through. Other than that, it's just like an explosion of juicy flavors. Now let's read the back of this bottle here. Tucked into the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, where Thomas Jefferson first had a vision to make America's finest wines. It was an attempt anyways. At the time, Jefferson just couldn't get normal European grapes to grow. I'm sure he would be very thrilled with how it's going now. Trump Winery has crafted a terroir-driven collection from the Monticello AVA. Rich in history and tradition, this medium-bodied blend with soft tannins features flavors of black cherry, currants, coca, and spice. Okay. So the coffee was the coca, is what I was getting. It always kind of comes through as a coffee for me. You got to be very powerful to make me think chocolate. And the cherries was kind of where I was getting the citrus. I was getting a slight citrus. I still am. Oh, goodness gracious. Folks, if you've never had Virginia wine, you really need to try it. Like, European wines are typically very dry, minerally, and they're good, but you have to really keep them on the palate for a long time to get the flavors. This one, it's just all right there up front. It's approachable. Okay, folks, we're going to grade this one on a few scales. We're obviously going to grade it as a red wine, as a wine, but also because this is their take on Bordeaux blends, I'm actually going to rate this in terms of blends of that kind. We'll call them Bordeaux style blends. So, as a red wine, as a red wine, some red lovers, this will be a little too sweet and not tannic enough. I think it's just perfect. Now, it's this year of our Lord 2021. This was 2017 release. I think I aged it just right. I think this is the right amount, and it's just beautiful. So as a red wine, I'm going to rate it 3.75. Just excellent. I personally like it, but I could also see how some red wine drinkers might be averse to this just because it's not quite as tannic, and it's a little more wet and juicy and not quite dry. Now, as a wine, just as a wine, I am going to rate this 4 stars, 4 out of 5 stars on a 5-star scale. If you don't know, we grade everything on 5-star scales around here at the K.O.E Nation, folks. But yes, this wine will be graded on a 5-star scale, and I give it 4 stars as a wine. This is an excellent proof of type for Virginia wine. And in fact, I'm going to add that one as a Virginia wine. I've had a handful of those. This one also rates, bam, 4 stars as a Virginia wine. Excellent, excellent stuff. This is not, I mean, yes, like I said, it's a presidential curiosity. It's got that going for it. So it's like, it's the first kind of cool where it's like, it's tasty. But then for some people, it's that second kind of cool where I think it's just neat as a collectible. That's perfectly valid. Yes, as a Virginia wine, I'd give it that. As a Bordeaux style blend, I would have this with a steak. I really would. This would go with some red bloody meat. I'm going to give this 3.5 as a Bordeaux style blend out of 5 stars. It's not perfectly true to the Bordeaux style, but you're at least going to know what you're drinking. And if you were going to be doing a blind taste test where you didn't know, you would mistake this as a very sweet young Bordeaux. So this cost me about $25 USD, which is not a bad price. I got it in a 4-pack. One of the bottles I gave as a present, and the other 2, one is a bottle of Cabernet that I'm going to just save because I think in about 5-10 years, that could be quite an interesting little piece of presidential curiosity. But other than that, this has been my review of Trump Vineyards Meritage release from Monticello. This is a very interesting red wine and one that I would recommend you give a try, folks. Yes, if I see this one on the shelves, you betcha I'm going to be picking this one up. So, folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us this evening for this review of Trump's Monticello Trump Vineyard Meritage, folks. It's quite the wine, quite the presidential curiosity, and quite the Virginia offering. I am your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., the Lord of the Scottish Highlands, the Prince and Potentate of the political parlance, the Emperor of Big Fucking Empire. Signing off and handing it off to all you beautiful people. I hope to see you back here happy, healthy, much the wiser for the next amazing review. And folks, catch you on the flip side. All right. Yes, folks, that was amazing. That was marvelous. That was my review of Trump wine. Now, while I'm getting something else queued up here, something that you need to know about me, folks. When I said I gifted a bottle, I actually gifted that bottle as a Mother's Day present. That was it was a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc, Trump Vineyard, that I gifted to my mother on Mother's Day, and so yeah, no, that was the one that I got that I gifted away, and then I've. Oh yeah, thank you, Biggie Cheese, and also Total Deegan. Also, thank both of you. God bless. Of course, the Philosopher King 10 to a 10 man. Thanks all of you for coming. But yes, God bless America. Yes, God bless America. Now, since we're on that subject, I actually did a birthday toast, which is probably this is the most important one I've ever done, actually. In my personal opinion, because I've done presidents, I've done Andre the Giant, I've done Winston Churchill, but this here is the most important birthday toast I have ever done. Happy birthday, Mom. Welcome, one and all, to the K.O.E. Nation for a very special, possibly the most special birthday toast I've ever done to my mom. Happy birthday, Mom. You know, I can't tell you just how great it is. My mom watches every single video I do. She watches whatever I put out on the net, and I can't tell you how great it is to know that no matter what, I always got that one fan. So thank you, Mom. Love you, Mom. Yeah, and it's her birthday, so I figured what would be the best gift of all but a gift and salutations from the K.O.E. Nation, of course. So the reason I'm picking Maker's Mark is because this would be a bottle that would typically be found around Grandma and Grandpa's house. And so I thought Maker's Mark would be very appropriate for this particular toast. But Mom, for putting up with me, for going through all the trials and tribulations, I realize I was not the easiest kid to raise. But for all of that, despite all of that, thank you. Love you, Mom. To you. Well, like I said before, but I'm going to say it one more time. Happy birthday, Mom. Love you, Mom. That one was short and sweet, and wrong clicky button. There we go. Get this beautiful mug back on the screen. There was almost a few seconds it wasn't there, folks. Don't worry. But yes, my mom watches everything I do. She's probably going to watch this when it gets uploaded to YouTube. She generally doesn't catch the live streams because we all live out in the middle of nowhere, so she doesn't have the bandwidth to do it. But yeah, she was real happy to get that one. So yeah, folks, if you got any kind of social media or whatever, somebody special is following you, do something a little special like that, because she watches everything that I upload to YouTube. And so I knew she was going to see it. So I uploaded it for early in the morning on her birthday. And bam, she really liked it. Now, what's Biggie Cheese says, I did a birthday toast to Kanye West. Nice. Now, again, another guy that might have a shot at being president. People say, no way. Now, before the Kardashian divorce, he had a really good chance. Like, not just a pretty good chance, he had a really good chance. But without that Kardashian rub, I don't know. That one might not pan out, but we'll find out. We will find out. Yeah, but I just couldn't resist that when I was doing it. And yeah, my mom said it brought a tear to her eye. But yeah, that was just one little birthday toast I did off to the side, folks. Oh, you bastard. The Farm Up's channel has freaking ads on it, you bastard. So I just give him a hard time about that every time I see him because it's fun for me. But yeah, So, folks, yes, if you got somebody special in your life, do something like that. But we're going to be shifting gears here a couple of times because I'm going to be going all over the place for content that's going to be getting played here tonight. I'm also going to show some Grow the Farm Up content here in a little bit, just going to sprinkle it out. I've also got something that I dropped at the Revolutionary Wrestling podcast that I want to show. And also, it is Bourbon Day. It's National Bourbon Day. And I'm going to let you folks decide because I've reviewed a lot of bourbon lines. And if you want to see the Buffalo Trace line, if you want to see the Maker's Mark line, the Four Roses line, the Bullet line, the Old Forester line to get played here on Bourbon Day, folks, the first 3 comments takes it, and whoever's got the most votes wins. So, and if it takes y'all too long, the first comment might just be the one that takes it. Do we do Makers? Do we do Buffalo Trace line? Do we do Four Roses line? Do we do the Old Forester line? What line do you want to see, folks, on National Bourbon a Day? So, folks, let me know what your thoughts are on that. But while you ruminate on that, while you think on that, this is something from Grow the Farm Up here. Let me just pull up one moment. But yeah, it's this is actually some pretty interesting stuff. This is a cooking oil from soybeans that's really high nutrient density. It's got way more protein than anything else you're going to find on the market. It's got a different flash point than you're used to. And Grow the Farm Up is really enthused about this stuff. So we are going to give this its proper due and credence. And I want to know what y'all think. But yeah, this is just yeah, it's farm to table. It's non-GMO. This is all regenerative agriculture. So, it's pretty good stuff by all counts, folks. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are. But with all that, I'm going to let Grow the Farm Up take it away.
Hey guys, Grow the Farm Up. This has been a video a long time coming. That is heart healthy, high nutrient dense, very brand cooking oil that came from a field that looked exactly like this last year. Project non-GMO verified. And it's the brand name that we've gone with. I'll link at the bottom of the page. We have our own YouTube channel and some other just web-based documents and things of this nature. We've got the food label, simpler the better, we found as we went through it all. The nutrition facts are on there, very heart healthy. And right now it launched basically, and we launched it in 2020, but it's really now just starting to get out to the markets, and we're seeing restaurants really like it. It's a high oil, or excuse me, it has a higher flash point. It's made for higher temperatures. I know the people that have been using it also have suggested that the flavoring is better. Breeding these high nutrient dense soybeans and farming them regeneratively, keeping them 100% non-GMO pure in an identity preserved system, has led to the end product of that soy cooking oil, very brand. Just go ahead, Google it, look it up. You can buy it anywhere. I don't know that it's on the shelves of stores yet, but it will be soon. This is something we've been working towards for really 5, 7, 10 years. This is just one of the end products that I'll be happy and excited to bring you guys and show you guys about in the next month or two to come. But very brand cooking oil. It was very much grown in a field that looked just exactly like this last year. This oil came from this field, completely closed looped, totally traceable audit trail from planting to harvest to storage to the creation of the end product. Project non-GMO verified. And like I say, guys, check it out. Heart Healthy Cooking Oil, one of the products that I'm going to be letting you guys know about. Again, look at the bottom of in the description. There will be a link to the very YouTube page and their also the web page that we set up for it. So moving fast, and it's actually a big demand for it. And now that restaurants are opening back up, once they try it, they just call and ask for more. I mean, notice this is in a 2-gallon jug. I mean, that's a pretty big jug for cooking oil, but that's the demand that we've had for it. So, all right, guys, wanted to show you that real quick. Out looking at some non-GMO, high nutrient dense soybeans today. Thought I'd stop by the house and grab a jug of these. I got I don't know, 25 of them. So anybody wants to try it, let me know. I'll send you some. Grow the farm up.
Well, hell, Grow the Farm Up. Send some of that. Send some of that my way. Some of that my way. But yeah, very brand, just high nutrient density. It's something that some of the big brains in agriculture have been working on for a little while now, and it's finally starting to come to fruition. But yeah, that's just one of the interesting little bits that we've got here at let's see. Oh, here's a good one. You bastard in your ads. Yeah, I'm jelly. I'm jelly Nutelli. Grow the Farm Up Scott ads. But this is an interesting one, folks. Before we shift gears off of Grow the Farm Up, there's just one more. He's kind of on the forefront of regenerative agriculture in a new way, just kind of using Mother Nature instead of fighting against it. And it's really all through cover crop, because if you leave bare soil, Mother Nature is going to do its damnedest to try and grow something there. And so you have to use all this tillage and chemicals to prevent the plant from growing there until you want it to. Well, if you just use a cover crop, it does a couple of things. It not only something's growing there, it's something you want, but also if you plant the right cover crops, it'll add sugars and nutrients to your soil. And here's the kicker. Here's the big kicker: is carbon sequestration. Is the cover crops actually pull carbon out of the atmosphere? That stuff that seems to be a bit of a problem nowadays, actually pulls it out and puts it into the soil and decomposes it in a way that it actually becomes nutrients and it becomes usable for plant life. So the use of these cover crops also has this very interesting secondary first, second, and third uses. But yeah, this is YouTube Grow the Farm Up, folks. I'll drop his channel link in the description here in a bit. But this is his regenerative ag ecosystem in action, and yep, look at all that. It's beauteous.
Grow the farm up. Let's take a moment and take in the diversity of regenerative farming.
Well, this is just, I mean, it's lovely, but I don't know how well it's coming through because he's using a really high res camera. So we will move on from that because that is just, which is fun. Don't get me wrong. When you're out there in it, it's actually kind of neat. But yeah, that was cover crops that were only partially trimmed. And so that was an interesting little look into what the fields can look like for most of the year if you just let them. If you just let them, that's all you got to do, folks. Is just let them do their thing. But well, we'll come. Oh, we'll come back to Grow the Farm Up here a little later, folks. But for a minute, I think you're kind of missing your fill K.O.E. Like you weren't getting enough K.O.E. Nation, and for that I apologize. And here we go. And for that, my best way to make it up to you is with some more Phil K.O.E. There's really no other cure for it. I got a fever, and its only cure is more cowbell. And here's your cowbell, folks. Merry Christmas, everybody, from here at the K.O.E. Nation. I am your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., sending out some holiday libations here with my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only,
the Holly Jolly Blend Master himself, Tony G. Like, share, subscribe.
Today we are going to get into a holiday release. Figured it's only fitting. Maker's Mark. It's what I'm drinking on National Bourbon Day, so proof, you kind of have to. You kind of have to know what my thoughts are on it. And who better to let you know what Phil K.O.E.'s thoughts are than Phil K.O.E.? Folks, we will see if this one makes it into the bourbon tournament. So, but all that being said,
I love the color of this.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful.
This is a new release, so if you're getting this as a gift for anybody, you can guarantee they probably never had it before.
That's fair.
While not everyone can visit our little distillery in Laredo, Kentucky, we bottled this 101 proof limited release so you too can experience the bolder side of our refined wheated bourbon, as we have shared it with special guests at our distillery for generations. Because yes, to get a bottle of this, you had to either visit their distillery or you could get it at duty-free stores. Yeah. And as we found out when we were in Houston, you have to actually be traveling internationally to even shop at a duty-free store.
I think they were lying to us.
Yeah, no, turns out they really weren't. But so this is the new release. It's now released to the public. Anybody can get their hands on it, but it's only going to be available for the holidays. So I'm sure you'll still be able to get some after Christmas. Like, no, December 26th, send it all back. And, you know.
It's got a really pleasant nose. It's not 101 proof nose.
No, it's very pleasant, very approachable nose.
Yeah.
Getting like caramel.
Yeah, it's just a very caramel of
an orchard flavor. Fruity influence, but not overwhelming.
I think like a pear.
Maybe it's because I'm almost thinking like caramel apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
my mind always correlates the two a lot because my grandma always used to make caramel apples.
Yeah.
She wouldn't say caramel. It's caramel apple.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so in my mind, and she had thick caramel on it, and that was how us kids would have our apples when we were kids. And the grandkids were over her house, that was us eating our fruit. And so in my head, that's...
Makes sense.
This heavy caramel with light orchard fruit, I think that's where
Okay.
Yep. You know, boy, what a delightful smell to be reminded of when you get into a bourbon. So you can see why I think this is one of the most tremendous value whiskeys, because I got this for under $39.
Yeah, that's very nice.
So let's see how it hits the palate, and then we will grade on the classic scales of K.O.E.
Fair enough.
Heavy vanilla.
Yeah.
Very heavy.
It hits your palate and you think it's going to be more intense, but then it kind of subsides and you're just left with a spiciness on the back end.
I was about to say, there's a spice there when the oxygen hits your mouth.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of more typical of bourbon. Your Scotches and Irishes will have a minty. This will have a spicy, a cinnamony, or some sort of pepper allspice.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
This is marvelous. So we will grade this on the classic K.O.E. scale. Also, I will say before we get into that, my brother also really likes this stuff. We got into this, and this is the second bottle we had to purchase. The first one we finished before we could even review it. It's
a good one.
That's like in a bottle. If your King of Extreme is going to get through a bottle before it can even get reviewed, that's fandom. So as a bourbon, as a whiskey, as a cask-aged spirit, as your choice of shelving, and then the secret fifth question. So, as a bourbon, what would you grade this, Tony G?
I'm torn between 3.75 and 4
Why is that?
because it does remind me a little bit of regular Maker's Mark, just stronger, but it has a definite little something extra, I feel like, in terms of flavor.
Yeah, I've had Maker's Extra, and I'll be honest. Maker's is another distillery where I can say I like everything they put out except their base offering. Just not a fan. It's not something I would generally spring for, but everything else from their entire distillery, I am a huge fan of.
I think I could go 4. I could go 3.75. I'm kind of caught in between.
I'm gonna go 4.
Okay.
I'll
say 3.75.
All right, compromise, folks.
Exactly.
So
the average is perfect then.
As a we already did bourbon. As a whiskey,
I'm going to give this a 4 as a whiskey because this is really, really approachable for being 101 proof. I love the nose on it for being a high.
Hey, Yanked. How we doing there?
It's not overbearing on the palate. Like, you can drink this, you can sip this, and you're not feeling like you're just drinking straight grain ethanol. This is really a great sipper.
With bourbon, it's always handy to give the audience a look because they can't add coloration to the bourbon. This has to come from the oak cask.
Oh, great color. Yeah, I'll say 4.
Hate to agree, but I'm going to agree.
There you go.
Because, yeah, it's approachable. It's easy to drink. There's a lot you can do with it.
Oh, yeah.
And, again, if you have either an experienced drinker or a novice drinker, this would be a good one to have around a holiday fire, all kinds of fun times. You're all around the fire at the house, whatever, and having a little bit of Maker's Mark.
Yeah, I'm going out of the mill of extreme right now, folks. Because the upload rate's amazing here.
Aged spirits.
I'm gonna say, oh man, I'm kind of torn again between 3.75 and 4. But
Yanked Up Podcast. Check this guy out on YouTube. He's fucking great, salt of the earth guy.
Something about it, just not because it's a limited release, but I don't know, it's just so.
And I'm talking to you too, Twitch people. You can check him out on YouTube. You can cross over. I won't tell. I won't tattle on you.
It's nice. It's approachable. It's 101. I really just think they did a good job getting to where they wanted to get. Like, they didn't cut corners here. I think they did the right thing.
I'm going to agree with you. 4 stars, which means my review the whole way through, 4-star whiskey in any way you want to measure it. Which, that's not off. Yeah. You just were a little less generous as a bourbon because, to be frank, we've had some pretty awesome bourbons.
Yeah, there you go.
But the Maker, like I said, Maker's has really kind of captured my imagination in terms of bourbon quality, especially their store picks are out of this world. Yeah. They compete with any of the weeded bourbons, the Wellers and all that kind of stuff. But don't look this one over. This is definitely worth a try. Now, here's an interesting, how did you rate it in cask gauge? 4. So, shelving. This is the interesting question.
It's so close to being a contender for a top shelf bourbon, but I'm probably going middle shelf. That's probably the stigma of the distillery. Yeah. Which isn't fair at all because it's like you said, everything past the entry level Maker's Mark.
It's right there actually.
Which would be this guy. Everything past that does stand out in a pretty unique way on its own legs.
You should grab the 46.
I'm really a fan of everything.
And if you can't find this, 46 is actually really good too. I mean, nice. Like I said, if this is all you can find, and this is something
much cooler.
This is one of the only nice whiskeys that some people can find in grocery stores. Yeah, this 46 is definitely worth it, but this 101 is just up. And I'm with you. I've had it sitting on my top shelf. I've had it sitting on my middle shelf.
There you go.
Will probably put it next to a few other weeded bourbons that I have on my top shelf.
Wow.
Like my Maker's Store pick, and my Wellers.
There you go.
So
True,
this
Justin.
one is good enough for top shelf. It can also be middle shelf. It's incredibly diverse. It's incredibly easy to mix.
Twist?
It's a twist.
Okay.
Some people think that's a big deal.
It's not to me.
To me, is even with makers, they utilize synthetic corks, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because with alcohol, it won't happen, but some corks can be prone to leaking. Sometimes even they can grow mold in them. So that's if you store it with just a small bit of water in it and don't tend to it for a while. Alcohol, I think that's actually impossible to happen.
Yeah,
I think like it just can't happen. But yeah, some people give a hard time to the twist off. They're fine. Some of my favorite wines have twist off caps. Okay, it's not a big deal.
No.
If they had access to this kind of sealing technology in 1524,
We wouldn't even have corks.
some of the highest end wines for micro-oxidization, and that's it. That'd be the only cork we'd have. So,
Yeah.
but this is marvelous
Yeah, this is really great.
offering. Now, the secret question, Tony.
Yes.
Yeah, if you were to find this bottle for
Yes.
39 or below, would
No,
you
I
buy
want
it?
I
Yeah.
want to pick this up before the end of the year because I'm trying to
It's okay.
enhance my bourbon selection on my shelves. I just got a big, nice hutch to move all my whiskeys into, and I want this on my shelf. It's probably going to be on my middle shelf, but I'm going to get
True.
one of this before it disappears for another year.
And I'd recommend you all do the
Or
same.
you're going to
folks.
pick one up for me if you go before me.
Yeah. I was like, hey, T, I'm here. Do you want me to grab you a bottle?
Yes.
Yes, I will. We'll square up later.
Mhm.
So, folks, this is amazing. Wow, T finished off his dram.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really good. It's very impressive
As
bourbon.
I'm known to say around here, folks. All that being said, thank you for joining us here at the KOE Nation for a very special holiday edition. Maker's Mark 101. Excellent stuff. I am your King of Extreme, Phil KOE. And Tony, I'm going to wish you a Merry Christmas. We're going to be amongst our own families
And
when
you
this
as
hits.
well.
But this was our way of getting together before the holiday hit. So I wish you a very Merry Christmas, sir.
Indeed.
And I wish all of you out there a very Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining us. Like, share, subscribe, but most of all, be good to those around you. Be good to those who you wish were around you. Just try to be a little bit better to each other this year. I think that's the best we could ask for. I am your King of Extreme, Phil KOE, signing off and handing it off to my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only,
The Holly Jolly Blendmaster Tony G. Kiddos, go to bed. Santa Phil's got a lot of shooters to shove in your parents' stockings.
Merry Christmas.
That was such a fun video. That was back before I knew how to. That was back before I knew how to edit. That was back before I knew how to really do much of anything. I didn't know how to add music yet. But yeah, it was just a really good time. Me and Tony right before Christmas. That was kind of our last get together before, because he's got his kids, I got my kid, and we got our own families. We got, it's Christmas. It's a ball of fucking stress. And so I actually, we recorded that a few days earlier, and I think I dropped that one on Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day, it was just literally just a video, just 40 minutes of us just bullshitting and just having a good time. And just, it was like, Chicken came over to our house and we had gotten done just doing the entire Dalmore line. Okay. We had drank Dalmore 12, Dalmore 15, Dalmore 18, Dalmore Port, Dalmore Cigar Malt, and Dalmore King Alexander all in one night in one glorious flight. And then afterwards, we just start getting shit-faced and talking shit. And for some reason, Chicken had all the cameras set up. And about 40 to 50 minutes of it was fun. And then Chicken said, all right, we're going to get political. And then me and Tony were doing no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you don't know shit. So yeah, after that, it took a turn. It took a turn. But Yanked Up says, Dalmore 12. I need an yes. Yanked, next time you're in the area, I'm actually going to start doing some Dalmore verses. Since you've had Dalmore 12, I'm going to have you, if you're in the area, I'm going to have you do Dalmore 12 versus like Dalmore Valor or Dalmore Port or like it's just going to be Dalmore versus Dalmore, but I just want somebody like you, like me. I know a thing or two about Dalmore and I'm a Dalmore freak. You you've got way less experience with Dalmores, and so you'll have this fresh new perspective of like, okay, I've tasted this, I've never tasted this before in my fucking life. And so the juxtaposition will be actually very interesting for the audience to see. So that would be, because Tony, let's be frank, he's had every single Dalmore with me. It's just we know what to expect. And Yanked Up says, well, thank you, good sir. I am very glad to hear it. I'm very glad to hear it indeed, because that oh, what did I do? I didn't mean to do that at all. Even in the future, nothing works, folks. I try to click away on some things, but all right, I know what's coming up next. Oh, yes. I immediately pause you. But yeah, no, you bastard. I will not let you. You're not going to ruin my fun yet. Like I said, even in the future, nothing works. But yeah, there's a lot more coming down the pike at KOE Nation. We're going to start doing some Scotch versus series. And also we're going to revisit the Johnny Walker line, because last time we got all the way up to blue, but now there is a special surprise in the Johnny Walker line. We got, between me, Tony, and Chicken, we got the red, we got the black, we've got the double black, we've got the gold, we've got even a small 100 milliliters of platinum, we've got 18, we've got green, we've got blue, and then there's a special surprise coming down the Johnny Walker. Actually, we've even got the celebratory blend, the 200-year celebratory blend. We've got that. Yeah, it's going to be quite the night. I want to get Germs down, but he's getting kind of hard to acquire. He's, hey, what can I say? Life gets busy for folks. One more. Sorry, I was working with soybean dust today. Yes, amazingly hot, and we moved soybeans today, of course. So, oh god, yeah, that was, as you can imagine, just marvelous, marvelous stuff. But yes, so there's a lot more stuff coming down the pike of the KOE Nation, and I can't wait to show it to all you beautiful people on YouTube and Twitch, KOE Nation at both, as you can see, just like this little scroll thing. There's KOE Nation on YouTube. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. But there's also on Twitch, twitch.tv/KOE Nation /home. I mean, come on now. It's just so easy. Like, share, subscribe on YouTube, and also on KOE Nation on YouTube, and also follow me on Twitch on KOE Nation. You know it's the right thing to do. But folks, all right, this is one I've been looking forward to maybe a little too much. That last video you saw was before I really knew much about editing, and this one is me knowing a little bit more about editing. And this is one that just dropped at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast today, and I am fucking stoked for this one, folks. I don't give a fuck. It's my show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And as the reigning, defending, multiversal, undisputed world's solar system heavyweight Grand Prix champion of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, it is my pleasure to present to you, folks, the 10 greatest WWE champions of all time, according to the greatest champion of all time, moi. Oh, it's gonna be awesome. Nay, I am champion. Welcome, one and all, to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, and we are here to break down the 10 greatest
WWE World Heavyweight Champions of all time. Folks, we're going to do it. We're going to do it right here. Yes, folks, I, your King of Extreme, am going to break down the top 10 greatest WWE World Heavyweight Champions of all time. I figure, as a champion, the greatest champion in Revolutionary Wrestling podcast history, it would be my duty, my destiny, my service to you to break down the top 10 World Heavyweight Champions in all WWE, WWF, WWF history. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So, number 10, who starts off the list as the 10th greatest world champion in all history? Time to play the game. Yes. Triple H is the 10th greatest world heavyweight champion in all WWE history. He was basically the final boss. If you were able to get through him, you actually were going to be springboarded into something great. Triple H was also that reliable hand in unsure times when the future was uncertain and outcomes were frail. You could put that strap on Triple H and you could count on him to actually draw a crowd or to, even more importantly, build a new star. So, the 10th greatest champion of all time, we raise our glass, Triple H, to you. Now, we move on to the 9th greatest world heavyweight champion.
Compared to the King of Extreme,
who could
of course.
that be other than the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels? Yes, another just amazing champion who helped propel the WWE from the new generation, and he was the bridge from the new generation to the Attitude Era. And he was truly one of the great champions throughout all wrestling history, and that's why we are honoring him at number 9. I mean, let's be frank, his Iron Man match against Bret Hart, to a lot of WWE fans, the hour-long match concept was kind of new to them. Now, to me, I had kind of seen a few of them before, but I had never seen one like this.
I did not know that.
It was just so
Twitch.tv/Yanked Up Studios.
Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, you should check that out, folks.
Attention from then on. It was a friend of mine in school who had a bunch of WrestleMania tapes, and he had the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels Iron Man match. And boy, howdy, we watched that, and for an hour, we were on the edge of our seats. And then when it went into sudden overtime, my God. And also, I'm going to say Shawn Michaels also took the best chair shot in wrestling history against The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell, which was also for the championship. So, what do you know? Bringing this all around. So, number 9, the greatest champion of all time. We give that to the HBK, Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. It's you, sir. Now, we move on to number 8, the 8th greatest champion in all the world, John Cena. Yes, John Cena was always reliable. Another guy that really had to carry the whole company on his back. Yes, he had to carry the whole damn thing right there, and he's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. You can say he's controversial. You can be one of those folks that says Cena sucks. I don't know why. He's one of those few guys that could have a good match with a wet paper bag or a broom handle. So he's got to go on this list because he was one of the few people that, people say, haha, Cena wins, LOL. It was the meme because he won a lot. Well, guess what? When you're on top and you're carrying the company on your back, if you drop an L to somebody that ain't worth it, that brings you down, and that brings the whole company down. So John, yes, he took care of himself, but he also could just put out amazing matches with some of the best in the world. And so that's why we give this spot of number 8 to the one and only John Cena, the man who cannot be seen. In fact, we've got John Cena here in studio right here to accept this award. John, amazing, amazing. John Cena there, folks, the man who cannot be seen, here to accept the award as number 8. So to you, oh Doctor of Thugonomics, yes, thank you. So we move on to the 7th greatest champion in WWE history. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the 7th greatest champion of all time is Brock Lesnar. Yes, folks. Yes, you knew it had to be Brock. Of course, he had to make the list. He's one of the few people left in wrestling with that old school mystique. He was also, in my opinion, the greatest undisputed champion ever. So to me, that still means something. I'll never forget, I actually got to see Brock Lesnar live defend the undisputed championship against The Undertaker in a house show in Lincoln, Nebraska at Pershing Auditorium. It was
beautiful,
spectacular, and Brock ended up winning the match by a disqualification by Taker just waffling him in the head with a chair. I was like, oh, this was back in the olden days when the idea of not taking a shot to the head with a chair was, well, I'm like, what, you're going to take one on the back? You're going to put your hand up? Sheesh. So, yeah, we know a whole lot more now. But, yeah, that was quite the time. Those were quite the days. But, yes, Brock Lesnar still to this day. I also saw him at the Royal Rumble in 2020 when he was WWE champion, just holding his belt over his head. It was stupendous. It was spectacular. One of the greatest live matches I've ever seen was watching the Royal Rumble live in 2020. And it's with a heavy heart that I have to say that was the last Royal Rumble that will ever be agented by Pat Patterson. And I got to see it. But yes,
we love you, Pat.
Spectacular work. The Beast Incarnate, Suplex City. He's one of the last people that you can actually, you actually believe Brock. You believe, well, okay, that guy could go into business for himself at any minute and just kick the shit out of anybody in that ring, and you believe it. So that's why number 7 is going to Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate and the 7th greatest WWE champion of all time. I'm sure at his gigantic hunting ranch that he's got up in Canada, the minute he hears, oh, what? I only made number 7, I'm sure he'll be heartbroken. But we move on. There's a few folks that anybody would have to admit you got to put a few spots higher, but Brock has to be on that list. So we move on to number 6, one that really holds a place near and dear to any wrestling fan's heart. Bret the Hitman Hart, obviously. He was the excellence of execution, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. And that might actually turn out to be true, unfortunately, because nobody's really able to work his style anymore. So Bret Hart was that great stalwart babyface champion that you could just count on to draw tickets, count on to get butts and seats, count on to make a good match, count on to actually be there and not be all fucked up when the show starts, Bret was just, in one word, consistent. Just beautifully.
Thanks for stopping by,
marvelously
Justin.
consistent.
Phil
You
K.O.E.
can always
2024. That is so
count
true.
on Bret
Thanks for
the
stopping by.
Hitman Hart.
Check out Yanked
So
Up
that is
Studios,
why
Yanked Up
he
Podcast,
occupies
folks.
number
You know it's the
6.
right thing to
Also,
do.
to me
But also
personally,
like, share, subscribe to KOE
should have
Nation.
been for the
Come
title,
on now.
but at WrestleMania 13, him versus Austin, that was just amazing stuff. But yeah, Bret, you could always count on him to just do amazing stuff with pretty much any opponent. He could even get good matches out of like Yokozuna. Who can forget his WrestleMania 9 main event against Yokozuna, where we found out who is the best wrestler between Bret Hart and Yokozuna? Well, clearly Hulk Hogan. So yeah, but so he even put up with backstage politicking, and he still, even if he clearly didn't think it was a good idea, he would still go out and do his damnedest to make it the best he possibly could. And so that's why Bret the Hitman Hart occupies spot number 6 in the top 10 greatest WWE World Heavyweight Champions of all time. Now, we move on to the top 5. This is where things start getting really, really competitive. So, I was trying to think who would be appropriate for number 5 out of all the champions. Who would be one that could really exemplify being the champion? When you're the champion, you're the cream of the crop. Oh, and I forgot to toast to Bret. You are the cream of the crop when you are number 5 in the greatest WWE World Champions. And that would have to be the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Yes, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Randall Savage himself is number 5. Who else could it possibly be? You knew he had to make it onto this list at some beautiful point. The Macho Man, one of the greatest champions, and really the only person you could count on when you didn't have Hogan. Hogan was, everybody kind of knew what that was, but Macho Man also just has that pop culture following, and always has, pretty much from, I would say, at least like 92, 93 on. Macho Man has been not only a professional wrestler, but just a piece of pop culture. You can even download a Macho Man Randy Savage mod for Skyrim, where you turn all of the dragons into Macho Man Randy Savage, and right before they blow fire, the dragon goes, "Ooh yeah!" Like, yeah, the man permeated deeper into pop culture than most people probably ever will. So that's one thing that, and also as an aside, like, anytime that man would put his fingers to the sky and he was signaling that he was about to fly, I was on the edge of my seat, because you knew you were going to see something spectacular. And he was somebody that just knew how to hold the crowd, hold them in his hand, and just get that reaction perfect. And I don't know how he did that, considering just how regimented he was with his matches. Ricky Steamboat was kind of a guy that, I'll do it on the night. Savage in his Intercontinental title, like, everything was bullet point as to what they're going to do. But he was one of those few people that just had such a unique relationship with fans that even despite all of Hulk Hogan's politicking, Mach still was able to come out as champion several times in an era where some amazing greats like Rowdy Roddy Piper never touched the gold. But Macho Man did. And that is why he is number 5. To you, Macho Man Randy Savage. But now, folks, we move onward and we move upward to number 4, who is the 4th greatest world heavyweight champion of all time. That would have to be none other than Bruno Sammartino. Yes, the undoubted longest reign in WWE, WWF, WWF championship history that has ever been and undoubtedly ever will be goes to Bruno Sammartino, that first stalwart babyface champion that you could just always count on. The crowds love, and this happened to a lot of great champions on this list, the crowd's adoration and love for him way outlasted what his body could give them. Like at one point he just had to take the title off him because he was too injured. He would have loved, I'm sure Bruno would have loved to be the world champion until the day he shuffled off this mortal coil, and I'm sure his spirit was willing. But at one point, the injury stacked up, but he was the great before there was any standard for greatness in pro wrestling. He was the first superstar champion in his region. And that Northeast, when Sammartino was out there, the New York crowds just came alive. And Tony and I have watched some of those old matches where Sammartino's involved, and you've never heard a crowd get so raucous over a toe hold. Bruno just, I can't describe just how incredible it was watching how he could get these reactions off of pretty simple moves. I mean, moves nowadays that most wrestlers wouldn't even consider because it doesn't have a flip involved. But again, most of these folks on the list, other than a handful of them, most of them never come off the top rope. You'll notice that. But Bruno, as the longest reigning and the most days as champion, and a record that will undoubtedly never be matched. I don't see it ever being even close. Bruno Sammartino, and folks, that is number 4, the 4th greatest champion of all time. We raise our glass to the great Bruno Sammartino. To you, sir. Now we move on to number 3. Who would be the champion number 3? It would be someone that you would have to go 1-on-1 with the great one, The Rock. Yes, The Rock is the 3rd greatest WWE World Heavyweight Champion of all time. So, one of the most amazingly charismatic people, one of the most, just has a natural ability to connect with the crowd. Also, the other strange thing is he's got this face where you can see his expression from the back row of the stadium. And so that works great for Hollywood. So he was able to transition his skills and leverage them in ways I've never seen any professional wrestler be able to do. He's gone from wrestler to the biggest star in the world. So his lessons in charisma that he picked up in wrestling apparently paid off. But yes, his time with the title, really when he was a heel, in my opinion, was some of his best work as champion. When he was a babyface, that was just, the crowd turned him babyface. He was a heel, but he could just talk such amazing shit that you would just be, who the fuck is this guy? And he would just grab your attention. And the crowd turned him face when he was a heel. Back in about 2001, go back and watch some of those promos where The Rock's still just being a smarmy prick, but the crowd just, ah! So that's a special talent. The Rock got himself over with his ability to talk. And also, I mean, the guy is fucking jacked. Even now, when he's slimmed down some, he would still look like a goddamn mastodon next to most humans. So next to most of us mere mortals. So yes, The Rock, I know from your Hollywood estate, you're hearing that you're only the third greatest world heavyweight champion in all WWE World Heavyweight Championship history on the KOE Nation. I know upon hearing this, he's going to be absolutely devastated. I'm probably going to be getting emails about this. I mean,
Already have.
You know, me and The Rock, I mean, we're just best of pals. He calls me for advice all the time. You know, Phil, what do you think about this movie role? Should I take it? Well, I don't know, Rocky. What's well, send me a copy of the contract. I'll get back to you and tell you what I think. I'll get right on that, Phil. I can always count on you. You know it, Rock. That's pretty much how that conversation goes.
Exactly.
And so that is why number 3 goes to Rocky Maivia, The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, you are the third greatest WWE champion in all history. We raise our glass to you. Now we move on to number 2, the second greatest WWE World Heavyweight Champion of all time. Give me an oh, hell yeah! Hell yeah! Stone Cold Steve Austin is the second greatest WWE World Heavyweight Champion of all time. Who else could be number 2? Who, like, honestly, Stone Cold, one of the true greats. He took the business through one of its true ascendant periods. The Attitude Era, I don't think any other personality could have possibly delivered the Attitude Era like Stone Cold. Like, without Steve Austin, I don't think you have an Attitude Era. It was kicked off with his WrestleMania 14 victory over Shawn Michaels. A lot of controversy surrounding that one. We didn't, like, folks were saying, is Shawn going to drop the title? Like, there's some alleged stories of Undertaker taping up his fists. Now, who knows? Like, we have no idea. But in the end, Shawn did the favor to Steve, and the Attitude Era was kicked off, and Steve Austin had one of the hottest runs in wrestling. Just in wrestling. You could, and his feud with Vince McMahon, you could say, he had a pretty, like, his feud with The Rock was great, but at least one of them, it was an extension of the real greatest feud of all time, and that was the feud of Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. Like, I don't think there will ever be a greater feud in all professional wrestling because we all believed it. Well, God, Steve Austin, like, who doesn't get pissed off at their boss? And so, yes, we believed it. It was visceral. It was relatable. And it was a great time. And it's unfortunate that I don't know if there will ever be quite an era like the Attitude Era. And for that, thank you, Steve Austin, for delivering that amazing time. And you are the second greatest WWE World Heavyweight Champion of all time. Now, we move onward and we move upward. But wait, first a toast to one Steve Austin of the Stone Cold Persuasion. One of the greatest champions of all time. But now we move on to number 1. The one who had to be the top. The one who had to be the peak. The one who could not be denied. The immortal Hulk Hogan. Yes. Who else? Who else? I defy you. Who drew more money?
No one.
Who brought more mainstream attention to professional wrestling other than Hulk Hogan? The slam of Andre the Giant is now a piece of pop culture history forever. Forever. It will, like, there's no erasing that from the history books, no matter how much you want to. Hulk Hogan is in America and in pretty much any place that has a television is still considered the wrestler. So his contributions to the business, his creating it into a mainstream product that people could actually find, that is all credited to Hulk Hogan and his runs as the WWF champion. Every other champion in WWF history is measured by the very high bar set by the Hulkster himself. So that is why the #1 world heavyweight champion of all time, despite all his flaws, despite all his politicking, despite everything, despite the fact that, he didn't work such a hard match in the ring, despite everything you have to say, Hulk Hogan still reigns supreme as the greatest champion of all time. Folks, raise a glass of whatever you have to the immortal one, the greatest champion of all time, Hulk Hogan. To you, sir. Folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us for my top 10 picks of the greatest WWE World Heavyweight Champions of all time. Be sure to like, share, subscribe right here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. You can also find me at K.O.E Nation on YouTube and Twitch. And be sure to find all of us at the Crazy Cast under the Big Buckin' Empire at Big Buckin' Empire on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. And I will catch you all on the flip side. Like, share, subscribe. Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. Thanks, folks.
Basically just an old picture of me with my shirt off, you know. The Big Buckin'. Oh, that was too satisfying. That was too fun. You have no idea how fun that video was to make. It was just, I had way too much fun filming the top 10 lists. And to give you an idea, tomorrow at Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube, my breakdown of the top 5 Universal Champions drops about 4 in the afternoon. So definitely be sure to check that one out. Maybe even a little sooner. Better just like, share, subscribe to Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast just to be sure. But yeah, folks, that was one I've been waiting to make for a long time. And as the current reigning, defending Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, in fact, I am the reigning, defending, undisputed, multiversal world's heavyweight Grand Prix champion of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. And I'm also a pretty modest guy. Yes, I figured who better than me? There is nobody better than me. So I better just have this service to the world and give it all to you beautiful people. And that was what I just bestowed upon all of you as the champion. It was a really good time. And tomorrow, the top 5 list of the 5 greatest Universal Champions of all time drops at Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. But before you do that, you should definitely be like, sharing, subscribing right here, YouTube. And also be follow me. There it is. It's going right there on my Twitch, twitch.tv-KOE Nation-home. And oh, it's like one of those toy trains. It goes into the tunnel. It comes back again. Twitch, yes. Come on, folks. You know it's the right thing to do. So that was just a really fun video that I had way more fun than I deserved to have making it. But that's why I do these things for you folks. You will know when this is not fun for me because you'll be staring at a blank screen. You won't be seeing your King of Extreme no more because it ain't fun no more. So that is why I do it, because it's just fun as hell for me to just get to hang out with all you people. And yeah, if you got any questions, come on. Good God, let me have them. Let me have them. But folks, now we're going to shift back because it's Bourbon Day And I've been kind of ignoring bourbon a little bit, but we need to get in to some bourbon, folks. So I've got just about every major line already reviewed. If I get a call out for any line, I mean, I got Maker's Mark, Four Roses. I've reviewed them all, folks. Just about, I've even got a Buffalo Trace line. If anybody in the comments just shouts one out, I will fucking drop that. But in the meantime, this is going to be one that I just personally enjoy the hell out of. This is a Nebraska bourbon. So for those who don't know, those who aren't from Nebraska, this is an excellent bourbon from here at right here in Nebraska, and it's Loop River Distilling. And here's the kicker, though, folks: this whiskey in a blind taste test, me and Tony Chicken did. This whiskey crushed Colonel E.H. Taylor, demolished it. I was shocked. I was appalled. So this is the breakdown of that particular Colonel E.H. The one that defeated Colonel. Oh, oopsie daisies. There we go. That's a little better.
Texas.
We's doing some whiskeys and shit, y'all. How y'all's doing? Welcome, one and all, to another premium spirits review here at the K.O.E. Nation. We are going local today. We are taking a look at the Loop River Distillery. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E., joined by my indomitable broadcast partner,
Blendmaster Tony G. Like, share, subscribe. Oh, it feels good to live the good life.
Yes, here in Nebraska. Now, today we are going to review, in particular, Loop River Distilling Nebraska Straight Bourbon Whiskey. From our grain to your glass, 43% alcohol by volume, 86 proof. Corn. Here in Howard County, Nebraska, we pour our heart into our grain and our grain into a glass. Nebraska Straight Bourbon Whiskey is the heart and soul that runs through everything we do at Loop River Distilling. Barreled and aged for 2 years, Nebraska Straight Bourbon Whiskey uses only the highest quality corn grown on our land. Now, in order for it to be bourbon, it has to be at least 51% corn. I think you can have it 100% corn if you desire, but I think that's mostly what this is.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly corn. We have the whiskey. That review should be up by the time this one drops. We've also gotten into this Howard Hooch before. This is unaged corn whiskey. We did this for a toast to Andrew Jackson's birthday because this is actually pretty close to the kind of whiskey that would have been around in his day. Now, probably would have been rye, unaged rye, but we figured that was close enough.
And it's nice.
Yeah, it actually is really good.
Yeah.
It cost me like $16, and it's
Nice.
actually, it's corn forward. Who would have thunk? And then this gin. Okay, I don't like gin. This is at least better than Tanqueray. All right, I like a lot.
Sure.
By a lot. Like, yeah, that doesn't offend the nostrils like Tanqueray does. It's an assault on every sense.
Do
And
they have a vodka?
yes, they do. I just haven't stumbled upon that bottle at a price.
Once we have an entry of all of their offerings, we will do a Loop River Distillery offering review in total. But today specifically, Loop River is battling for a spot specifically in the
Bourbon Tournament, folks. The Sweet 16. We have 6 places filled already, and we are going to see if the true dark horse, the local boy, is going to be able to rise above and match wits for wits. Tony, we got some pretty big heavy hitters here thus far. Right now, the 6 slots that we have filled. We have Blanton's, Colonel E.H. Taylor, We've got Booker's. We've got Four Roses small batch. We've got Jim Beam Black. We've got, and this is the one that I'm really curious about how they're going to match up, TX Straight Bourbon Whiskey. So we're going to give this one a taste test and review today and
See if it meets up to the
see
standard.
if it makes it into the tournament of bourbon champions.
Now, I have had this one time before, just a couple of weeks ago. I had it on ice. I had it after trying the Spring Creek whiskey. I enjoyed both pretty well. Enough to pick up a bottle of this myself. And goodness, I think for only being 2 years old, the bourbon is quite nice. And I gotta say, for being in its infancy, I think there's a lot of potential for their entire lineup. So I'm excited to see what you think of the bourbon and see how it stacks up some of the other ones that we have sampled.
So, Nebraska Straight Bourbon Whiskey from Loop River.
Oh, wow.
Wow, very caramel.
Yeah, lots.
Not getting any grain.
That is a great note. You got to get deep to get the grain. It's there.
It covers the ethanol very well.
Yes,
There's
it
no
does.
offensive ethanol.
No, it's just sweet. It's a very nice nose. But I can smell the corn. It's very sweet.
It's very corn heavy. I'm going to guess the mash bill is at least 70% corn, if not almost entirely.
Say you're right. I like the nose of this. It's not intrusive. It's very appealing. Your bourbon aficionado might say this isn't quite complex enough, but
just getting started distillery.
It's
out
2
here
years old.
And what I like about Loop River is it's not in the major metropolitans of Nebraska. Most of the Nebraska distilleries are pretty much bunched around Omaha. But this one,
kind of
it's
middle
out
of nowhere.
It's out in farm country, and so that's where we are. And so we figured we're going to give it a shot. Now, Tony, I am very curious about this. We're going to give Loop River, Nebraska's own bourbon. This is made of water from the Ogallala Aquifer. So water is the backbone of any whiskey. So we'll see how this goes. Small burn at the back.
It's got a heat, but it's not.
I mean this in all sincerity, and this is actually a compliment. There's a lot of this that does have certain Jack Daniels. It reminds me of Jack Daniels in certain ways. So within your first 2 years, you have an offering that, to me, anyways, is comparable to Jack Daniels. Now, I'm not like Frank Sinatra, not a huge fan of Old Number
That's
7.
fair.
But this has a nice, soft caramel, light vanilla, not getting really much of any wood.
No
coloring.
No smoky, no wood.
This exact
fruit.
casking, aged 10 years, would be amazing.
I think that's the thing that's most impressive about this is that it's only 2 years old, but that nose is so nice. And this is it's an approachable palate, but it's not a hot's not the right word. Spicy's not the right word.
What's the nut that you're thinking of? To me, I want to say almonds, but it's not. There's a nut there, but I can't quite place it.
Cashew.
All right. I think you might be right there, sir. But yeah, there's a slight nuttiness there. That's only going to get better with age.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about this is a young distillery. This is a young bottle. And to be this good at only 2 years, it's just going to get better. I think they've got the recipe there. Time is the only thing you've got to give it.
Good grain, and they've got good water. And water is the backbone of any whiskey. And it's coming from the Ogallala.
You got a head start.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, like Tony and I, we live above the Ogallala Aquifer. That's what supplies our livelihoods and keeps our lives going. Like without water, life around here would not be the same. So, this is also whiskey that was distilled and made from Nebraska water. So there does have that. There's that cleanness to it.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, people probably take that for granted, but yeah, it's remarkable that you get this clean of a whiskey with only 2-year age statement, and people would just lose their minds over having a clean product like this at such young age statement.
There's a very thick candy.
There is, but
I can't think. Like I don't want to say toffee because it's not toffee, but it's toffee adjacent. It's somewhere in that very dark, deep flavor profile, which will in time become dark chocolate.
Yeah.
So this is so Tony, as we're gonna grade this on a couple of different scales here. We're going to we're gonna add an extra one even.
Okay.
We're gonna grade it on a 5-star scale. We grade everything around here on 5-star scales. In case you're wondering why, it's the same scales that they rate boxing matches, MMA matches, and some of the greatest performances in sports entertainment. So we're going 5-star scale as a bourbon whiskey.
As a bourbon, it's young, but we know that the ingredients are high quality, and that just like if this was only a 2-year-old bourbon with lower quality ingredients, this would fall incredibly short.
Yeah.
But it's got everything it needs to be a contender. It's just very young. I'm gonna give it 3.
I'm gonna give it 3.25 as a bourbon. It's got all of the pieces there to be a great bourbon, and this is their first offering, so I gotta give them a tremendous amount of credit. I wonder who was in charge of their casking.
I think when we go to do the lineup review,
you're worth every penny.
We might just have to go to St. Paul and say, "Hey, let's just have a sit down and talk about this."
You know, we might have to do that once this whole thing settles down. Now, as a whiskey,
this is right in the middle of the global bastard.
This is great. I really like this.
Approachable, mixable.
A couple weeks ago, I went into a bar. I wanted a whiskey.
So it's always fun about these kind of videos that happened right during the middle of this. It's kind of a time capsule. It lets you know what was happening at the moment.
This one, and I love both, but for being as young as it is, I'm gonna say 3 1/4 on a whiskey because it's clean and it's approachable and it's not offensive to any of your senses, and it's just the potential is there.
As a whiskey, this kind of reminds me like the Redneck Riviera.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Young, but it's approachable and it's just good whiskey.
I was thinking that when I was thinking of this.
So I'm gonna give it 3.5 as a whiskey because I like it.
All right. That's pretty good for a 2-year-old bourbon.
Yes. Now, as a cask-aged spirit, we got to be honest with ourselves.
Okay. So obviously, it's an infant in the world of cask-aged spirits. I will say 2.75 because this can only get better. Like, this has so much potential. Like, this could be a 5-star on the cask age scale.
Just give it a little more time.
More time. Hell, give this. And
so I have
this
to agree
4
with you.
years.
2.75 is very fair. Now here's the.
I can only imagine the 4-year, the 8-year, the 12-year. Like I'm giddy in the anticipation.
Now here's the special extra category that I'm adding. As a Nebraska distillate, as something distilled here in Nebraska versus all the other Nebraska distillates you've had. How do you rate it?
Wow, that's tough.
I know, and we've had a lot more than we want to admit.
That's probably true. Are we including beer?
That's a brew.
Well,
so this is distillate.
All right.
Ooh, the anticipation, folks.
On a Nebraska scale, 3.75.
3.75.
Yeah.
As a Nebraska distillate, I'm going to give it 4 stars.
Yeah, it's almost there. And
Yeah.
it's 2 years old. I can't
Yeah.
say it enough.
We got some other
4, baby.
distilleries we got to try yet. But yes, I'm going to stand firm with my review of this. A 4-star Nebraska distillate.
Yeah.
And as I've said, the place that this distillery really stands out is, imagine, you live here in Nebraska, and it's the holidays. You have relatives that are coming back that used to live here and don't live here anymore. This would be a tremendously good gift to those
Everything in their
people.
lineup, just
Yes.
depending on what they like.
Yes, and it's a uniquely Nebraska thing that they can take home with them.
Yeah.
And that's where this distillery really stands out.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm going to stick with my rating there. Now, shelving.
Oh, it's a 2-year-old bourbon. It's going to go on the bottom.
Okay.
I'm being completely honest.
I am going to put this on my middle shelf.
Really?
Yep. And it just has a perfect spot next to a lot of other bourbons.
All right.
And this one is going to be competing against the TX bourbon in... I think we're going to have to put them against each other.
No, this
in the first round.
absolutely has to, because it's so early into its lifespan that this can actually compete with some of the other bourbons from around the country. That's an impressive feat all by itself.
Now, Loop River, I do apologize. We are kind of throwing you into the deep end of the pool here with some of the
It's
other
not fair.
bourbon. No, but we're going to see how Nebraska stacks up. And I think it's going to surprise people.
I think
It's
some
gonna-
people are going to like this more than
it's-
they would understand that they like it.
Yes, yes. So, all right. Now, $39 a bottle. Will you seek out a bottle of this for yourself?
I do have a bottle of this right
Uh-huh.
now. I'm going to drink that down first, and then I will probably seek out a bottle of this. But I'm going to keep my eye on the distillery and see if they have some other installations into the line in the meantime.
That was going to be my big thing. Was I was going to keep my eyes to see if they release a 3-year release.
There you go.
If they come out with a 3-year,
I would assume we're going to see a yearly installment.
maybe like every other.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you're going to see a 4-year release.
Yeah.
And then if they
Which-
have enough to make it to 10,
Can't wait.
yeah, we'll
And
be
if they
ready.
don't, we might just grab a barrel ourselves and pour a couple of those into it.
Oh,
Because that's got all the makings of a great bourbon.
yes, yes. Yeah, it's sweet. It's caramel
It's there.
forward.
It is there.
It's it's got all the ingredients to be a very, very fine bourbon. So, folks, thank you for joining us. And Loop River, good luck to you in the bourbon tournament. So now we have 7 entries, Tony. 7 have made it. So, folks, get ready for that when we get there. Keep your eyes on this space because it's going to be some pretty intense bourbon head to head to head to head competitions. We're going to be doing it here, folks. KOE Nation, like, share, subscribe. As I'm known to say around here, folks, all that being said, thank you for joining us for this very special review of the Loop River Distillery Nebraska Straight Bourbon Whiskey. As 2 Nebraska boys here, we just felt we needed to do Nebraska proud tonight. So, folks, thank you for joining us. I am your King of Extreme, Phil KOE, signing off and handing it off to my indomitable broadcast partner,
The Blend Master, Tony G. It's the good life, folks. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, that was beauteous. That was beauteous. So yes, folks, that is Loop River Distillery and their bourbon. You need to check it out. It can match up against some of the big boys. I'm not going to say any specifics, but yes, it has defeated some very big allocated bottles in blind taste tests. So if you have not tried Loop River Distillery Nebraska Straight Bourbon Whiskey, you really need to this evening because it is Bourbon Day. excuse me, I'm drinking Maker's Mark 101, an amazing little bourbon. This is one where you can treat it like it's classy, or you can drink it like you're just in one of those moods where you want to feel different. I know people who have used it for both. And at $35 to $40 a bottle, it doesn't break the bank. So it makes it definitely a good dram to consider, especially for this Bourbon Day. Yes, did you know? Did you know it's Bourbon Day? It's like a much better version of A Christmas Carol. But yes, folks, it is Bourbon Day. So I'm trying to think of all the big lines. What would be, to me, it's pretty much between the Blantons and the Colonel H. Taylor, or the Old Forester, or the Knob Creek 12. And I'm going to give any of you a moment if you're near your keyboard. And if not, we are going to be going with, I think, let's go with, yes. Or there's Woodford Reserve, which is really good. Nope, we're going Old Forester, folks. We are going to get a full review of the entire Old Forester line from 1920, 1910, 1897, 1870, and the Statesman. We're going to be getting all of the Old Forester because that was the one distillery that was allowed, one of the few that was allowed legal distilling through Prohibition. So that's why they have a Prohibition badge. But yes, for Bourbon Day, this Bourbon Day, National Bourbon Day, for the last few minutes that it is, we're going to be exiting Bourbon Day this particular year of our Lord 2021, looking at and enjoying Old Forester together, folks, and enjoy. God bless, all that good stuff. We'll catch. Don't worry, though. I'm still right here. I'll guide you through it. I'll make sure that you make it out okay. But enjoy, folks.
Welcome, one and all, to the K.O.E. Nation for a very special premium spirits line review. I am the elated and excited King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., joined by my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only, the indomitable, the clearing his throat, getting ready for this evening and all of its frivolities, the one and only,
the thirsty Tony G. Like, share, subscribe. Hot damn, we are finally getting a chance to do this. Oh,
the Old Forester line. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. We've got quite a few whiskeys here. We've got six whiskeys that we're gonna, and one of these will be the entrant into the Sweet 16 Bourbon Tournament to represent Old Forester against a very big line. Now, we've got some contenders here. Now, we've got their baseline 100 proof offering, Old Forester. We've got
We decided to skip the 86 proof. We figured this was probably good.
That, and good God, we're gonna.
Did we need 7? Not necessarily.
Oh, yeah. Then we've got the 1870, their original batch.
Yes.
Then we've got the 1897, their bottled and bond. We've got the 1910 at 93 proof, which I'm quite curious about.
I'm excited about that one. I think that could be a personal favorite.
Yep, and then there is the 1920 at 115 proof that everybody. I've never had.
Yeah, I've never had it, but that one is the media darling.
And then, last but certainly not least, the Statesman. I have had this before.
Oh.
I actually remember Maya Nurse Ratchet. I actually gave this to Maya as a wedding present. Okay. So I have actually tried it, and he thoroughly enjoyed it.
This is the only twisty cap.
Yep, the only twisties. And these will just be going into the standard.
That's plenty.
Crown Royal glass.
I don't think that one's going to be very
high up there.
No, I'm just going to spoiler alert. I don't think the 100 proof standard line is going to be the one that moves along.
it's,
in the interest of fairness,
we're going to put it in. Also, keep your eyes out for the eventual review of the Cold Steel Spartan. Awesome knife. They actually, the owner of Cold Steel just sold the company, actually, to a much larger knife manufacturing company. So, a lot of things coming down the pike from them. So, here we go with the 1870. This whiskey was distilled by us only, and we are responsible for its richness and fine quality. Its elegant flavor is solely due to original finesse developed with care. There's nothing better in the market. So this was pretty much the original recipe for Old Forester. The guy who started the distillery thought that his stuff tasted best at 90 proof.
Okay.
That was
Nice
fun.
work.
And that's going to go in the slightly fancier Scotch glass.
That's fair. All right.
Yes, this one I've heard nothing but good about, but we've got quite the journey here we're going on, folks. And now we've got the 1897 bottled and bond, and it used to be a very big thing, bonded whiskey.
Actually, wait, it just occurred to me. There's something else we need to do before the day is over. There's it's National Bourbon Day, but much more importantly, we need to for the last few minutes that are left of this day, it is the birthday of one President Donald J. Trump. So let's get that particular honor back up again.
Happy birthday, President Trump. Welcome, one and all, to the K.O.E. Nation for the continuation of the Presidential Birthday Toast Series. Today, we raise our glass of Trump wine to President Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of these United States. So whenever you make a video about modern day presidents, you always have to be careful because there's always going to be controversy. You're always going to have half of your audience is going to be really pissed off and the other half is going to be like, hooray. And so for this one, I'm just going to give down the line. This is our birthday tribute to one Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of these United States. His term was quite the ride, wasn't it, folks? Boy, it was a time. It was an era, and it's one that we're gonna look back on and tell future generations about. We were there. But yes, Donald J. Trump, one of the only presidents that I know of that appointed 3 Supreme Court justices in one term, and his other big accomplishments, he had a tax cut that was able to pass through the House and Senate, and he got signed. And also, to his credit, love him or hate him, the first president since Harding to not get us into any new wars. So that alone. So folks, wherever you're at, whatever you're drinking, this evening I am going to be drinking in toast a bottle of Trump wine from Trump Vineyard, their Meritage release from Monticello, the 2017. So this was actually, the grapes were grown, harvested, pressed. There we go. They were grown, harvested, and pressed, then fermented, then bottled, then stored, and then brought to market, all while Donald J. Trump served in the White House as the president of these United States. So folks, every last one of you, raise a glass to the 45th president of these United States, one Donald J. Trump. Happy birthday, Mr. President. So folks, there's a lot more coming down the pike from the Presidential Birthday Toast Series. Be sure to stay right here at K.O.E. Nation, YouTube and Twitch to find it all. But we will get to those on their day. Today is President Trump's Day. Raise your glass one more time, folks, to Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Excellent stuff. You need to give it a shot sometime. Their Meritage release from Trump Vineyards. But folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. And what the hey, it's my show. Raise your glass one more time to President Donald J. Trump. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Catch you around, folks.
God, I love America. Yes. So while there was still a few minutes left, I needed to get that one in, folks. I mean, come on now. But yes, this was Donald J. Trump's birthday. So happy birthday, Mr. President. All righty. So that was a little detour, but folks, we all know it was a necessary one. Nay, that's not where I'm trying to go. Even in the future, nothing works, folks. That's just how it's always going to be. There we go. Didn't even hit the cough button that time. My goodness, you're amongst a rank amateur at this moment. But, oh, Lord almighty. Now, I wanted to show you the old Forester line, but boy, howdy, is that loud as shit. So I'm going to see. Let's see how the Knob Creek line sounds. That can be deceptive.
Welcome, one and all, to the K.O.E. Nation for another premium spirits lineup and entry into the Bourbon Tournament. I am the elated, excited, devilishly handsome
better.
outlaw himself.
We'll do
the
Knob.
King of Extreme Phil K.O.E., joined by
To
my
send off this
indomitable
Bourbon
podcast
Day.
partner.
Eric Church. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Tony G. I'm just the humble Tony G. Like, share, subscribe. This is one we've been putting off a little bit for good reason, because we wanted to be in the right mind frame for this. This one has a bit of odd expectations, I feel, for the both of us, because there is a 15-year age statement, which is my true love of the whiskey world. And Knob Creek is one that you've not loved, not hated. Are you somewhere indifferent?
Never tried it before.
There you
like
go.
I've just honestly.
You've had the rye. And that
Yeah,
one
I've had
did
the
not
Knob
score
rye.
high with us.
Well, yeah, but rye is always kind of its own animal, so
There
I
you
was
go.
willing to look at that separately. This, though, honestly, I don't know how I've made it this far in life and
Yeah.
have a podcast where I review spirits, and I've never had Knob Creek bourbon before.
I feel like I have, but if I have, it's been many
And
years.
I've heard nothing but good, so I decided, all right, let's get pretty much the complete collection. Really, it started off with you and me and Chicken found this bottle in
Yep.
South Dakota. So I was like, well, okay, I'll
Yep.
pick that up. Then a local store had this. And I considered getting it for a little while. I got it for retail price, $90. So I didn't pay any secondary. So, hey, 3 cheers for me.
Well,
I thought,
hello,
well,
New Socialist Era, the
Just
show.
as well get the 9-year and the basic.
Welcome, one and all.
non-age
All are
statement,
welcome in
so
the
we can
KOE
get a
Nation.
Complete line review.
Complete open
And
borders
folks, we're going to
policy.
see which one of these four is going to move on and represent Knob Creek in the Sweet 16 Bourbon Tournament to decide spot number 14. We only got 2 left after this, folks. So I think without any further ado, I'm going to get started with the opening and the pourings.
Yeah, the thing about Knob Creek is
The wax is not impressive.
it's not aesthetically pleasing to me. I can understand why it's unique, but it's not the best looking. What kind of cork is that? Synthetic? Or is it
Yes.
Mexican? Okay.
So long as you like, share, subscribe to KOE
There
Nation
we
on
go.
YouTube and follow KOE Nation on Twitch,
And I'm just going to go ahead and
you
say
are welcome. You are
all
welcome.
the waxes, Knob is just going to go ahead and say it. George St. Pierre, I am not impressed by your performance.
This
But-
is a small batch, 100 proof.
A little piece of wax just flew across the room. And there's little bits. Yeah.
And I have to pause that for just a moment because I need to let it be known that I have announced, just so you know, and everybody else knows, I have announced my candidacy for the presidency of the United States of America. And the first 500 subscribers to KOE Nation on YouTube and Twitch, you are all invited to my inauguration party in 2025. And I'm going to make Andrew Jackson's inauguration look like a debutante ball in comparison. It's going to be a wild party. No, there's not going to be any Philharmonic. The band that will be playing will be Clutch, and if I can get them, AC/DC. Fucking A. Yes, that's what's going on at my inauguration party.
Yep, I can see that.
Not enough occasions to use that anymore in our vernacular.
Yeah, but hey, what are you gonna do? I mean,
that was so fun back in
if
the day.
they're staying true to their old school sealant process, I can kind of respect that because, all right, this is the way we sealed this whiskey back in 1947. So no, we're sticking with it. I have no idea how long.
Die hard.
I have no idea how long Knob has been in the game. Actually, I know they are part of the Jim Beam distillery, so Jim Beam knows what they're doing. So if this stuff can even say it's better than Jim Beam Black, it's going to be impressive because that's shockingly good. So that's your 9-year age statement.
Yep, this is also 100 proof. Okay. This says since 1992. Is that good? Are they really that young of a distillery? Is that accurate? Huh.
Well, I finally broke the seal on this 12-year. Boy, it's stuck in there, too.
Well, it's been waiting for you a long time. It's going to
It
make
has.
you work for it.
Oh, okay.
That was nice.
Okay, there's a reason I had to work for that. That was
Okay.
a satisfying pop.
Well, we're basing it off of pop alone. I think this one's already in the lead. This is the 12-year. Is this also 100 proof?
Yep, 100 proof. So
Okay.
that seems to be their.
Wow.
Crafted from.
I'm just getting a plethora of aroma. Like it jumped up intensely after you poured that 12.
We get into the Knob Creek 15. This is one that I was considering.
Get in that box.
Do I get into this one or do I try and trade it for some other bottle? But you know what? Life is short and whiskeys are meant to be enjoyed.
It was good.
15 years.
Yeah, we were doing that.
I wasn't gonna let you.
There's a
just
little
trade
bit
that
of a.
off. Sorry.
Yeah. A little bit of the sticky stuff on the back. I can just get rid of that now. Don't need that no more. And the Knob Creek 15-year. I'll let you look over that box for a bit. And
It's actually kind of.
I know people
it's
that
very light.
they make like little shelves out of these.
I keep seeing people use the Booker's boxes to make shelves. They would assume they'd do the same with this. This is another small batch. Again, this is 15 years. The presentation, it is very similar to Booker's, but, they're coming from the same place. So, big shocker there.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
That one even had a deeper bass resonance for just to represent how much older it is. I mean, I'm sure that's how that exactly works.
In Claremont, Kentucky. This does say 1992, so not a very old distillery, I guess, comparatively to some of the others.
All right, T. And your Glencairn there is
The 15.
Yep, this is the 15, the 12, the 9, and the no age statement.
And that is also 100.
It's fair to say, yes, that's a fact.
Yes, 100 proof.
Bit
100
better
proof,
than
so
that.
up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So let's start off
Jail
with
toilet
non-age
wine.
Here we go,
Oh my
400.
God. I've heard horror stories.
Non-age
statement.
statement.
Check that math again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, I like this nose.
Very subtle.
It is, but I like it. It's
Can I be
soft.
honest with you? It's gonna sound. I'm sorry to insult you, but first thing I thought when I smelled this, Jack Daniels.
Oh.
But without that dirty.
Well, that's weird because,
cold.
gosh, could Jack Daniels be a bourbon?
Jack Daniels not a bourbon and never will be.
It
No,
is.
sorry. That's a different dispute for another day. But
I'm not getting.
I'm
Me
getting
and
a
Tony and the Jack
slight
Daniels
apple,
bourbon
and the nose is
wars.
telling me there-
He thinks Jack Daniels is a bourbon.
Yeah.
I'm not getting
I
a
think he's
lot
out of his
on
fucking
this.
mind.
No, I get
Yeah.
slight floral.
It's like,
but,
sheesh,
you're right.
Tony.
Now this is very.
Like, you'll like
very
this news. So it's just like,
inexpensive.
I didn't know you was a communist. You think
375
Jack Daniels is a bourbon?
$20. So there's a reason this is
Nose
base
alone, I'd say
offering.
pick this one up. I like the nose.
Excuse me.
All right. Well, I think it's time. Soft but sharp. There's that caramel, a little bit. It stays the same, I think, through the whole process.
I was about to say there's an apple and a brown sugar, and kind of like the nose, you think there's going to be a slight hint of caramel.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really get there.
Yeah, it never really exploded into a caramel flavor, but honestly, that's not bad. Not bad at all.
I'm going to now we're just going to grade on 2 scales here. We'll get into full gradings later, but we're going to grade this as a bourbon, and it's showing.
Okay.
So, as a bourbon, what would you give this on a star scale?
I would give this 3 1/4.
You know, I was thinking the exact same thing, maybe 3 to 3 1/4, because this is a good mixer.
No, this is great.
This would go great.
I'm gonna have to even like I have to pause this for a second just to point I have to this is a good one. So according to News Socialist Era, the show, a YouTube channel called Miller Red, something like that, I don't know, it's no K.O.E Nation on YouTube and Twitch, so I mean after you subscribe to that, you K.O.E Nation on YouTube and Twitch, then yes, but apparently they took a toilet paper roll, broke down the complex sugars in the teepee, and made it into toilet hooch. I'm sure prisoners would love to know how to do that. Ha ha. That is according to News Socialist Era. Nile Red. Okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, that's people are a goofy creature. I don't know how else to put it. Like, we have tried to run from our sobriety since the very dawn of man. I don't know why or what the motivation is behind that, but yes, we even know how to make liquor out of paper. That's really just a testament to human ingenuity. But yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, that almost does lend a little bit of credibility to the beer before bread theory of was it really agriculture to make food, or was it agriculture to be able to brew first? Because the beers back then also had a lot of rot in them still, and so they were also a hallucinogen. So that's to me, I tend to think more about I tend to think it's more about the food, but I do at least grant that that's probably how a few villages and a few areas started up, was for that very reason. Some beer makes society go until people drink too much. Well, that's just the thing is there's always a few folks who just can't handle it, and it just ruins it for everybody else. And that's unfortunate. And, it's always know your tolerances and just pace yourself. It's that easy. But yes, to me, it's more of the history that I just find fascinating, that some people think that, yes, it was actually the brewing of beer that caused societies to spring up. And to me, I'm a farmer, so I tend to think, well, you got to eat first. That's first and foremost. But I definitely understand the idea. But to me, whenever people say, I know exactly what happened at the beginning of time, I'm like, how the fuck do you know? You were not fucking there. Go fuck yourself. Jesus. Like, that's one thing that I always find myself having to do on every panel that I'm on is, how do you know that? Like, I have to say that as many times as possible, because people are like, I know what this person was thinking, or I know what really happened at that point, or I know what this person did, or I know, like, how do you know that? And it's always interesting to get the reactions. Light beer was a great way to keep water from being too foul for drinking. News. So, very true, actually. One of my favorite books, Mint Juleps with Teddy Roosevelt, The Complete History of Presidential Drinking, because I'm doing a birthday toast to every single U.S. president. First year I did it, I got about like a third of them in because I'm a farmer. I got a busy schedule. This year I've gotten quite a few more in. I've still missed a few. Like I missed like Tyler and JFK because planting season and such. And there was one more I missed in there too. But I'm going through. But yeah, Abraham Lincoln. That guy never drank ever. The only thing he would ever drink was small beer, like you're saying here, that had like maybe a 2 or 3% alcohol. And that was just in places where water was a really questionable proposition. He would not like that was the only time he would drink small beer, was when he was going to places where the water was kind of known to be bad. And strangely enough, the White House is one of them, because the White House's water supply was literally, I shit you not, downhill from, I don't know what they called it, but it was basically the town shit collecting pond where everyone would dump their shit into it, and that would leak down into the, and that's actually what President Harrison, I believe. Gosh, what was the president that only lived about 46 days? They think it was because of his long speech, but it might have been because he was drinking the water in the White House. So that's just one of those fascinating bits of presidential history. But yeah, when you bring up light beer, Abraham Lincoln was one of those people that did exactly what you were talking about. Oh, I know I don't have my phone ready to rock and roll on trivia at the moment, because it's just a nice little fun evening with all y'all. But it was one of the presidents that start with the letter H. Who was the one who log cabin and hard apple cider? Harding. It was log cabin and hard apple cider president, and then that was what put Tyler in. God, it's. Now I have to look this up to make sure. Shortest presidential term. Harrison. I fucking got it right the first time. Fucking A right. Washington, D.C., U.S. William Henry Harrison was an American military officer and politician who served as the 9th president of the United States. Actually, fucking A, you know what? I've got a goddamn K.O.E. Nation Harrison video. There we go. We're fucking doing this shit. Here's my video from long ago about President Harrison.
Happy birthday, President Benjamin Harrison. Welcome, one and all, to the K.O.E. Nation as we continue.
Damn it, wrong Harrison. Take 2. There's more than one. Where are you at? Where are you at, other Harrison president? Poo. Well, it's the thought that counts, right, folks? But damn it. He died on the toilet like Elvis. But yes, you're right. It's William Henry Harrison, and I don't know. I'll have to do some more searching, but I thought I had done the video on William Henry Harrison, but I'll get into that. But yeah, you know, people say that's an undignified way to go, but when you consider how much of your lifetime you spend on a toilet, it's statistically, it's one of the places you like, it's either that or a chair or a bed, that's now it's kind of like Rick and Morty. It's like, wait, grandpa, vampires are real? Yes, Summer, vampires are real. What are we going to do? Live our lives until we die. Most likely by heart disease or auto accident, but also possibly vampire. Like, yeah, that's so. Yeah, it's just one of those places you might go. Hang on, I am just so. I could have swore. Yes, I did shoot a William Henry Harrison video. Gosh darn it! I knew I did it. I knew I did it. There. True. My uncle's an undertaker. He could tell some stories.
Happy birthday, President William Henry Harrison. Welcome, one and all, as we have yet another presidential birthday toast. Today, we raise our glass to one President William Henry Harrison, the 9th president of these United States. So, William Henry Harrison was an occasional imbiber. He did not drink very often, and strangely enough, he was mastered lighting known to have a decanter of whiskey by his bedside in Ohio. But you really can't give a proper toast to President William Henry Harrison unless it's with hard cider. He was a brilliant political tactician with the hard cider or log cabin and hard cider. There we go. The log cabin and hard cider campaigns. So probably need to toast the man with a bit of hard cider. The ninth president of these United States. He's also the progenitor of the only grandfather presidential line. He's the grandson of President Benjamin Harrison. Get to him later, folks. I'll leave that there. Why not? He was the shortest serving president of these United States at only 31 days. A lot of people think that that has to do with the fact that he also had the longest inauguration speech at over 2 hours. There's actually, the general story is that he died of pneumonia. A lot of doctors have actually looked into that, and it really looks like it might have been typhoid fever. But regardless, that is history, folks. He served for 31 days, but before he was president, he actually served on the battlefield several times with some distinction. And one thing I did want to talk about is he was a contemporary, if you will, to the Shawnee leader Tecumseh, one of the great figures of American history. And there was a point where Harrison told Tecumseh that President Madison was highly unlikely to withdraw the Treaty of Fort Wayne. The chief replied with something. There's a lot of different accounts, but this is probably the closest account, and it does mention alcohol. As the great chief is to determine the matter, I hope the Great Spirit will put sense enough into his head to order you to give up those lands. It is true, he is so far off, he may sit in his town and drink his wine, while you and I will have to fight it out. And the Battle of Tippecanoe was where they did battle it out. And that was where the great Tecumseh fell. But that was one of the things that helped propel President William Henry Harrison to the White House was Tippecanoe and Tyler too. And we'll get to Tyler later. That's another video. While he rarely imbibed, there was interesting, this was an actual order he made in 1813. Philadelphia merchants were requested that they would, quote, be so obliged to send to Pittsburgh as soon as possible a quarter cask of best Madeira wine, 1 ditto of sherry, and 10 gallons of best French brandy. Wow, that's that must have been quite the time for his guests. Now, the log cabin and hard cider campaign. This is also, I'm just reading this straight from Mark Will Weber's Mint Juleps of Teddy Roosevelt, The Complete History of Presidential Drinking. Cannot recommend this book enough. It's just a fun read. In one of political history's most clever counter moves,
it is
the
just a great
Whigs
read.
latched onto a Baltimore paper's snide remarks and eventually rode them all the way to the executive mansion. And what the anti-Harrison editorial stated was this: give him a barrel of hard cider and a pension of $2,000 a year, and our word for it, he will sit the remainder of his days in a log cabin by a sea coal fire and sturdy moral philosophy. So the Whigs redrew those images and managed to portray Harrison, despite his wealthy Virginia roots and his stately home in North Bend, Ohio, as the friend of the common man. Harrison supporters soon stumped the country, building makeshift cabins, hoisting jugs of hard cider and whiskey as well, and brushing forth with boisterous songs. There were dozens and dozens of songs of the log cabin and hard cider campaign with a fairly typical stanza. One was, let Van from his coolers of silver drink wine and lounge on the cushioned settee. our man on a Buckeye bench can recline content with hard cider is he. So yeah, they were very, very catchy, good campaign slogans. And also, one last thing before I close the book here. There was some evidence that Harrison had investment in a whiskey distillery, which puts him in a company with Andrew Jackson and George Washington. So fascinating there. But really, folks, if you have a hard cider, it is the most appropriate toast to President William Henry Harrison, the 9th president of these United States. So today, whatever you have, whatever libation you have, raise it to the 9th president of these United States, William Henry Harrison. Happy birthday, Mr. President. So, folks, there's a lot more to come. Be sure to check out the toast of one Abraham Lincoln is coming up very soon. But this is President William Henry Harrison's day. The shortest serving president because of an illness that cut him down not really early in that era. He was 69 when he did ultimately die. So especially for that era where the average life expectancy was about half that, it was not all that uncommon. But strangely enough, they even used brandy and different alcohols along with mercury and all kinds of other, who knows, as a medicinal aid. They at least tried, which, as we can see, that's how it ended. So he was a man who, through brilliant political maneuvering, was able to rise to the presidency of this United States. He did not live to do very much. They say it could have been because of his very long speech. Others say it could have been because of the water supply was infected with things like typhoid fever. Either one could be the case. Regardless, the outcome was still the same. But regardless of his short reign as president, we raise our glass one more time to President William Henry Harrison. Happy birthday, Mr. President. So, folks, be sure to stick around because there's plenty more presidential birthday toasts to come. But this is the birthday of President William Henry Harrison. Thank you for joining me, and I will catch you around, folks.
We will march on, K.O.E. Nation. Yes. So, excuse me. So as you can see, I've been working on this presidential birthday series for a while. And it's kind of like a progression of watching me get, sorry, got to keep my singing voice in bed. There we go. But yeah, it's been like a progression of me getting better and better with cameras and getting better equipment. Like I didn't have this blue Yeti. Didn't have this nearly good of a camera, and yeah, it's just been a slow progression of me getting better and better and better at all of this amazing stuff that we call modern day technology. My God. But no, we will finish. We will finish, by God. Let's see. Let's get back to it. Well, this has been an interesting little evening, folks, but it ain't over yet. We are going to finish Knob Creek, by God.
Not any standard bourbon cocktail. So
yeah, this is a lot more. I'm sorry for those of you who are fans of the Heaven Hill Distillery, but that's almost like flat bourbon to me. Like, this still has enough spice to warrant me coming back to it.
All right, now, in terms of shelving.
Oh yeah, now I remember what else I was gonna say. There's something else I was gonna bring up, and I'm curious what all y'all's thoughts are. I'm thinking about on Juneteenth doing a live stream where I ask the audience what their thoughts are on this, and I'm gonna wait until that day to give my actual position on it, but I'm just curious what other people's thoughts are, and so I'm going to do a stream that day, and all are welcome to give their thoughts on Juneteenth as a national holiday, federal holiday. What let me know. So, folks, that was the one thing I was thinking about. I'm gonna wait until that day to give my full position on that. So, folks, let me know what you think about that in the comments, and I'm looking forward to the discussion, folks.
Like, I'll be honest.
I don't know.
I might be getting to be kind of a bourbon snob.
That's totally fair, but there's a lot, like I said, like a Heaven Hill, even some of the entry level Jim Beams. Like, just there's so many bottom shelf bourbons out there. First initial thought, I do like this, so I would almost put this on my middle.
Now let's see what the 9-year age statement, when you kick that up.
Okay.
Very similar. Very similar.
It's similar, but there's just an extra
sweetness.
Yeah, maybe a honey. Yeah.
I would want to say
butterscotch,
like more of the apple from this.
It's very similar. It might be a little.
I wonder if this is like 4 to 5 years old.
Yeah.
And this is 9 years old, and it's just.
Yeah.
Boy, you'd think it'd be a bigger difference there.
No, there's not much difference there, but it's softer, I think, on the nose.
I'm just getting slightly more, like you said, a sweet, but
yeah,
I'm having a hard time placing it. So let's see where it places on the palate. That's the truest test. Mm. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh
There's that mint.
There's
that heat.
Yep. No, that's
completely different palates.
Yeah. Way different. Well, I think it's the base is here. The base is still there, but yeah, you're right. There's just a lot more going on here.
Oh yeah.
In terms of
the noses are almost identical.
Yeah.
The palates are very off. And
oh yeah.
In an interesting way, if you like a heated, spicy, minty bourbon, this one's right up your alley. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, no, this is I'm thinking. What does a bottle of 9 run typically?
I think about $35-$40.
Okay.
So, it's been some time since I bought this. Like, I've been hanging on to these.
Oh well, then by now it's probably 100 because bourbon prices.
Stop it! Just stop it!
How did that get there?
Oh, magic, dude! So we move right along to the grading of this particular bourbon.
I'm gonna say this is a solid 3.5 for sure. This definitely, God, it didn't exceed my expectations because I really liked the non-age statement as a nice, affordable,
masterful editing right there.
And I was even generous enough to say, middle is shelf. This one surprised me. I think 3.5's definitely fair. I don't know that I could go any higher yet.
Hate to agree. I'm gonna agree.
All right.
3.5, and this one I could lend it to the middle shelf maybe.
Well, now that I've had both, this is going down to the bottom, and this is taking the middle spot. Sorry.
There you go. Your King of Extreme is incredibly persuasive. So now, T, this is the one I'm really looking forward to here. The award-winning Knob Creek 12-year.
Yes.
There's been a lot of awards that said this is the whiskey of the year.
What year?
Unfortunately, the last year.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But we'll see.
Clearly before I let my daughter shave my head. This was shot a little while ago. This was before we did the Sweet 16 bourbon tournament. And that has now come to its conclusion.
Honestly, I can barely smell Knob Creek influencing this as a whole. I'm not even getting. That's it. It just smells like a caramel sweet.
If the non-age to 9 is any indication as to how different their nose to palate can be, I'm looking forward to see what happens here, T.
Yeah, I think this is going to be good. Oh,
Delightful.
that's got like a hard candy, not a butterscotch, but maybe like if you took like a butterscotch hard candy,
February
and a
of
root
this
beer
year.
hard candy, and put them in your mouth at the same time, and really sucked on those and got all of the sweetness out of that. That's what this sweetness.
I just got a better
Oh,
camera
it's
not
on
too
the
long
back.
ago.
Oh yeah.
Don't
yeah.
pixel-
There's not a
Stick on
lot.
this. Yeah, it's not nearly.
Don't
as
pixel
spicy
shame
as
me,
mine,
new socialist era.
Which, considering they're both 100 proof, interesting. But yeah, that one's mouth-watering.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
that's great.
we were both just like, yeah, that's an amazingly good bourbon. I'm gonna give that 3.75 in terms of its grading.
Same thing. Yeah, that's delicious, and these are just getting better. And
It
better.
would grade a lot higher as like a whiskey and such, but that'll be a different.
Yes.
But yeah, this is
No, that's delightful. I'm very impressed.
This one would probably be almost a middle to top shelf bourbon for me.
I'm gonna stick with the middle shelf. It's a damn good bourbon, but
Going in for a second take.
it's still a young brand, and I think that this is definitely the potential to become more respected, like you said, for winning awards even in a really bad year. That does say something, and I can see why. It's not run of the mill bourbon. It's just got a little something extra that sets it apart from other ones I've had.
A subtle sweetness, a subtle heatness. I can see why this one really impressed.
Yeah.
It doesn't have some of the over-the-top flavors that we're used to.
No, but yeah, I agree.
Thanks for stopping by, good sir.
Interesting stuff.
And be sure to
Well,
like, share, subscribe.
yeah,
KOE Nation
time
on
to,
YouTube.
We're
I'll
there.
send a.
We're there. Okay.
I'll throw a
We are
subscribe
here,
your way,
folks.
good sir.
This one has
God bless.
a pretty big hill to climb. They've gotten better each bottle, and it's 15 years. So
Tony's favorite age statement,
Oh, boy.
folks.
This
We'll
is-
see what happens.
this could be interesting. Cinnamon.
It's like a metallic copper note. I'm getting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The way that it resonates in your nostrils. Yeah.
Like you're holding a handful of pennies.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're right. There's a cinnamon, vanilla, really strong vanilla
Very
extract.
strong. Yeah.
God, there's a lot of
Almost-
there's a lot of cask influence here.
If I didn't know this was
Why
bourbon,
isn't there nearly as much on the 12?
I don't know. That's weird because if I didn't know that this was bourbon specifically, and you just held it up to my nose, that might not be where my mind went immediately.
Where would it go?
I could almost go Japanese. I don't know why that popped in my head, but like a couple of the recent ones we tried, similar nose I'm feeling. Like that was a Nika coffee whiskey.
Yep. The Nika coffee grain, which is a mostly corn-based whiskey and bourbons.
Yeah, that's what's reminding me of.
I'm guessing this is probably like 70% corn. But
That's probably fair.
well,
Okay, let's
I'm-
do it. Chocolate cherry. Oh,
kind of a coffee-ish
Oh, yeah.
note on the end.
Yep. oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, this one's all over the place. This is
Wow.
and it's not an oak bomb like I was
No.
afraid it was going to be.
No, it's not.
Like a lot of people were saying, "Wow, it's
Wow.
15 years, so it's probably just going to be all oak." But no, not this one.
Oh yeah, that is actually pretty impressive that it's that old, but it's not overtaken by that. Wow, they found the secret formula.
Yeah,
Kudos.
I'm quite impressed.
Really nice.
Now, as a bourbon, how would you grade this?
Oh, I gotta go back in one more time.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna give this a 4 stars as a bourbon. They've just kind of gone up the ladder, haven't they, folks?
Yeah, and I can't disagree. I want to give it 3.75, but I can't. I really like this. This has a lot to offer. It's aged perfectly, and this is craftsmanship. I'm very impressed. 4 stars.
Goodness
Yeah.
gracious. So, in terms of shelving,
That I could probably put that on my top shelf and not feel bad about it at
just
all.
because you're gonna have such a hard time finding another one.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, that'll go on my top shelf. Or We'll see. We'll see. But now we get to another interesting part of the show here, T. The eliminations to see who moves on to the Bourbon Tournament. So, T, as much as we found this one delectable, delightful, the non-age statement, it's a fine whiskey, isn't it?
It's not making it.
No, it is not.
I think the same can be said about the 9.
The 9 is a great whiskey. It's spicy and different, but it's got the same nose, and we've got some pretty stiff competition. I think Knob Creek would even appreciate us moving one of these two on. Now, T, the question is, the 12 has won multiple awards. The 15 has been very controversial. So I'm going to let you go first before I even say anything.
I could go either way with this, honestly. It just kind of depends how appealing one would be to the other on a grand scale for a tournament format of grading a champion. And that being said, I would give the slightest edge in a tournament format to the 12-year.
And why is that?
Because I think it appeals to a more broad range of people who would be interested in drinking a lot of different bourbons to see which one's the best of them all. Personally, I think the 15 is hands down better, but the 12 is so approachable as a bourbon. I think it really reminds you of what bourbon can be with an age statement, not over the top. But I really think that this one would do better in the tournament as a whole.
I'm kind of leaning towards 15.
And I could just as easily go that way because of the coffee notes, the chocolate cherry on the front that I was tasting, the smell throwing me off in terms of smelling like a bourbon. It's a toss-up for me. That's why I said I'd tip it to the 12. But you could easily convince me to go to the 15.
Take another sip of the 15.
Okay.
Let's see what that does. And go back to the 12. All right, now take another sip of the 12. No, come on. I don't make the rules. I just make them up and then have you do them. Now take another sip of the 15. Now take a sip of the 9-year.
What?
This is science. Okay. Now take another sip of the 15.
Where's this going?
Just trust me.
This is a face you can trust.
I'm having way too much fun. Okay, now that my little fun is over. Now, T, out of all those tastes you just
What's
did,
the point of that?
I had a marvelous time.
Okay. Drink of water.
All right. Now that you got a drink of water, T. Now take a sip of the 15.
Okay, 15 wins.
Yeah! All right.
The 15 wins. Okay.
Master
Okay, you
persuader.
convinced me. Jesus.
All right.
I don't know. Where's this going?
I was just gonna
We're gonna be
say.
halfway through the bottle by the time you go. Okay, I'm just fucking with you.
I think the audience pretty much picked
All
that
right.
up, T. We
When
were
you
all
started
having a great
introducing the
time.
9-year, I'm like, okay. But speaking of that, I mean,
Oh, here it comes. Oh,
we're at that point. Sorry.
the blend
not
master
sorry.
must blend.
Yeah.
I'll take a nose of it, but my word, the blend master must blend.
They all kind of hide each other.
I'm sure they do.
Honestly, it's very subtle.
I was about to say I smelled your hand more than I smelled the whiskey, which that's something.
Well, that doesn't suck. B plus.
All right,
B
the
plus.
blend master. gives
Hello,
the blend
savage like
of the
Fred.
Knob Creek
How we
line
doing?
a B plus.
How
But
we all
folks,
doing,
we
you
have
beautiful
decided,
people?
Determined that Knob Creek 15 year is going to make it into the Bourbon Tournament to represent Knob Creek. Now, if for some reason Knob Creek is down from injury, or if some of my kinfolk come over and happen to drink this bottle empty, Knob 12 will step up in the Bourbon Tournament as the alternate because,
Got an
you know, that could happen.
Okay.
There's, I'm like, if my brothers come over, like, okay, you gotta try this 15-year-old bourbon.
Next thing you know, you're down to a quarter of a bottle.
Well, thank you.
No!
Thank you so much,
The
Savage.
12 will step up.
Savage
will
like
see how
Fred,
that
thank
goes.
you
I
so
think that's
much.
a
I
pretty
think
good plan.
both would do
Come on in.
fairly well.
God bless. Love you all.
I think if you were to like blend them together as like a Knob Creek 13 and a half year.
Well, I got more like a 12.
Figured this would be a good way to
Yeah,
cap off National Bourbon Day.
Goodness gracious. So, folks, T, anything you'd like to say to the people?
No, like I said, it's been years. If I
Yeah,
can
God bless
remember
every
last
last
time
one of you. I
tried
love
Knob
seeing y'all
Creek.
here. Come on in.
And wow, I surely wouldn't have appreciated it at the time. And they've really done a nice job with this line. I'm very impressed. From the base offering to the higher end, very impressive. Really like it.
Yep. So, folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us for our line review and bourbon tournament selection of Knob Creek. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E., signing off and handing it off to my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only,
Tony G, thanks for coming.
I like that song a little too much. It just occurred to me, oh, Phil, you like that song maybe a little too much. It's a Persephone Retro Funky Sundance remix. It's a totally copyright-free song, so I use it on a lot of my stuff. I mean, a lot of my stuff because, well, why not? I mean, good God. So that was... just one interesting little bit of content that I had coming down the pike the other day, and there's plenty more where that came from, folks. But so, what brings all you beautiful people in here? What's all your corners of the world looking like? I mean, come on now, don't be shy. The King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E. will answer all questions to the best of my abilities. I mean, now if you don't know where babies come from, you should probably that sounds like a talk you should have had with your parents at some point. But I'll point you towards a biology book, anyways. But yeah, come on in. The water's fine. But I just figured on this Bourbon Day, it was also Trump's birthday. A lot of stuff went on today, so I figured let's just have a nice, chill little chat with all you beautiful folk here amongst the K.O.E. Nation, and a couple more interesting things dropped in the last few days in the K.O.E. Nation. For those who don't know, I dropped a review of Hamilton the other day, which I'm really happy with. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It's me and my daughter's favorite play. She's 12, and because of this play, she knows who the fuck Marquise de Lafayette is. I mean, okay, yes. And then there's also a review of the Dalmore Trio, which we're gonna get into here.
Sounds like that.
But no, hey, that's the thing. Like it or not, when it comes to plays like that, even if they cast people as the heel or the face, just so long as they know who these people in history are, you can. At that point, you can actually start to have really good discussions on history, and that's a great thing. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I never thought I'd really like that. I thought in the concept, I was like, huh. Then I saw the execution, I was like, So, without further ado, this is just one more I wanted to get into. This is one that literally dropped during my last live stream, but I was streaming. I meant it to drop at 2 p.m, but it dropped at 2 a.m. So literally while I was live streaming, this video drops. And so fuck it. Here you go. This is me and Tony's review of the Dalmore Trio Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. And this is how I'm going to get real frisky and bisky and think about ending this night of whiskey with all of y'all. So enjoy K.O.E. Nation Single Malt Scotch Review.
Welcome, one and all, to the K.O.E. Nation for a very special
Good
Scotch
move off of the wire there, T.
review.
Nobody
here
saw
at
it.
the K.O.E. Nation.
Except now every time I watch
am
this
the
video, that's all I'm
devilishly
going to see.
handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E., the Lord of the Scottish Highland, here to give a Highland single malt Scotch whiskey review, here with my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only.
Excited. Tony G. Like, share, subscribe.
Oh, this one's going to be good, T, because this is another travel exclusive from the Dalmore. And, oh boy, howdy. This is one of the final pieces to an almost complete collection here. So, the Dalmore Trio, and the new travel exclusive series, and it also comes in this awesome liter bottle. So I'm gonna let you get into the back there, T, and don't hit me with the palate yet.
If I may. A royal heritage. You're probably familiar with this one by now, folks. Bestowed in 1263 by the King of Scotland, the Royal 12-point stag proudly adorns each bottle of the Dalmore, encapsulating the distillery's regal legacy.
Yeah. Ooh,
Little soft, little soft.
soft and subtle.
The art of the Dalmore. For over 150 years, the Dalmore has set the standard in multi-cask maturation. Carefully compared, spirit, and hand-selected casks from the world's finest bodegas and wineries are expertly curated to create a sumptuous and layered whiskey of legendary fitness. The Trio, a captivating single malt, beautifully orchestrating the influences of first fill ex-bourbon aged tawny port and exclusive Methuselah sherry cask finishes.
So this is bourbon, sherry, and port.
Oh God, yeah, those are
Well,
all things.
That sounds like those. Yeah,
so much.
Okay, that's
Wow.
very soft cherry.
I was thinking wine. That's probably the port though that I'm getting. Yeah, soft cherry, but
Very soft.
the port comes through for me. But I'm a sucker for port.
Yeah. What can I say? I'm kind of a
That's
sucker
really
for
nice.
sherry, so sherry, Porto. Let's call the whole thing off.
Boy, didn't take much time on the nose there, Phil. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah,
Coca powder.
yeah. There's the port.
Yep, the port's on the back there. But
That
you get the
that's-
coca powder first.
That slowly intensifies. At first, it's incredibly light, and then it gradually increases, and then in comes the port. The finish, I get maybe a little bit more of the sherry on the finish.
Yeah. Now, I'm looking forward to putting this one up against, I believe it's Valor, because the cask aging is pretty much the same. Well, it's not the same because they age a standard Dalmore and then they add a little bit of port finishing. This is blended of 3 different whiskeys. So
Yeah.
that's more how you would want to arrive at getting the 3 of them together. And this one's
The aroma: raspberry tart, Seville oranges, and Morello cherries, dipped in caramel. On the palate, damson plums, manuka honey, and coffee latte. The finishing note
probably
is
where I'm getting
chewy
cocoa.
licorice and vanilla.
That's probably where I was
Which
getting
makes
cocoa.
sense.
But
Yeah, I
and the
agree.
vanilla and the licorice, again, that just kind of comes across as wine to me. On
Yeah.
the end.
This is delightful.
Oh Lord
Another
Almighty!
great offering from the Dalmore.
I
Go
mean,
figure.
Richard Patterson, you done it again. Amazing stuff.
How are we rating this?
We're gonna grade this as a single malt Scotch
Yep.
on a 5-star scale,
All right.
as a Scotch on a 5-star scale,
Okay.
as a whiskey on a 5-star scale.
Yep.
It's shelving, and then the secret 5th question. 5 stars, for those who don't know, means you need to have this before you shuffle off this mortal coil. And half star means, you can leave it behind. So, Tony, as a single malt Scotch, how do you grade this?
I will give this a 3.75.
Why do you say that, sir?
It encompasses everything I love about the process of making a single malt. Like you said, bourbon, sherry, port, across the board. It's wonderful. It's just a little bit light. Now, again, I don't want to get hung up on proof or ABV, which this is. Let me check. I believe 46. if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's gonna say on the top there.
Oh no, this is 40%.
40. Yeah, I was about to say it's light enough. It
is a little bit lighter.
Well, I think it's also because when you've got like the Dalmore 12 year, the Dalmore, like a lot of Dalmores are very powerful with their flavor.
Intense.
This one is very light, sippable, and approachable. And for that, I'm going to agree. 375 is a single malt Scotch.
Yep.
Now, as a Scotch whiskey,
I'll go 4 because this has got a great flavor. It hits home run on everything I like about Scotch. So, yeah, simple enough. It's a little light again, but no, the flavor profile is absolutely fantastic.
I'm going to disagree, but only just, and I'm going to give it 375 again.
I had a few.
It's just right there for me. But again, it's like you said, it's light, and when you think Dalmore, you think just a symphony of flavors,
right.
And this one is a beginning trio. Hey, who would have thunk it? But so, as a whiskey, Tony G.
As a whiskey, go 375.
You know, you could almost mix this one.
You could, actually.
Dalmore, like if you were going to mix it, this one would be one you could actually do it with.
Yeah.
Now, you remember USD what this one cost?
I believe this one was right around 80.
Okay, 80?
Give or take.
All righty. So, and we will get there, folks. Yeah, I'm going to agree. 375. For me, this is a 375 whiskey through and through. Doesn't really matter how you grade it. It's 375. It's way better than the median. It's just barely not quite 4-star, but it's amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Now, Shelvin.
Oh, it's Dalmore. It's top.
I was about to say, I've got a couple of Dalmores that could sit next to on my top shelf.
Sure, a couple.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah.
And that's right where it's going to go, on the Dalmore shelf.
Dalmore and friends.
Yes, Dalmore and friends. Dalmore and friends. So, yes, that just happened. In terms of, now, Tony, $80 USD for this whiskey. If you were to see this, would you pick this up?
I'd be really, really tempted. Again, it's just a little bit light for my preferential in a Scotch, especially in Dalmore. I would definitely consider it, but it would depend on what was surrounding it. Now, we've had the quintet, and that was transcendent. So I'd probably be more inclined to grab that myself. But
I was
if I
just
only
thinking
saw
the same
this,
thing. Like if this was sitting next to the quintet,
probably get the quintet.
Yeah, and any good thinking person would. But yeah, this is excellent. I'm probably going to keep a bottle of this on hand so long as this is part of
you could
the
introduce
new
people.
travel. And this one is like you said, it's a good light whiskey. You can mix it. You can do a lot of things with this. I am impressed with it, but like you said, quintet's just unto itself.
Yeah.
But so folks, Richard Patterson, you've done it again. Tony, you just always finish your vegetables at the beginning of the end of all of these.
Like a good boy.
Folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us for our review of the Dalmore Trio here at K.O.E. Nation. Richard Patterson, Sir Patterson, thank you. You've done it again, you brilliant man, you. And folks, be sure to check out, there's a lot more Dalmore. There's a lot more, all kinds of crazy content coming here at the K.O.E. Nation on YouTube and Twitch. Be sure to stay right here, folks, and I will catch you on the flip side. Tony G, take it away.
Another great one from the Dalmore. Thanks for stopping by,
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was muted. I was about to say, oh my God, don't let them see that I watch excessive amounts of Jim Cornette videos, anything but that. My God. But yeah, I like that song maybe a little too much. Thank you. Thank you, Savage Like Fred. I was muted. Oh my God, you were about to miss a few of the beautiful, beautiful summer sounds that are the voice of the King of Extreme. Oh, goodness gracious. Yep. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good, kindly sir, Savage Like Fred. But you know, folks, I got a big, long day at work tomorrow, and I still haven't showered the soybean dust off me because, yeah, I'm a farmer. I'm actually in my mill that my great grandfather built on the land my great grandfather homesteaded in the year 1900. So yeah, it's I'm a working man, but you know, I got some blood, sweat, and soil into this blood, sweat, and tears into the soil. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm getting a little tired. But folks, thank you for joining me, the King of Extreme, in the mill of extreme, for the stream of extreme. And thank you, every last one of you. And as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining me for this Bourbon Day, Trump's birthday, an amazing get-together stream day where we got to see all of the amazing K.O.E. content for your viewing pleasure. Folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Raise a glass. I guess I got to have one more last little dab just for you folks. Why not? Why not? I got to. Raise a glass to all of you beautiful people, to yourselves. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. I hope every last one of you makes it back here to the K.O.E. Nation, happy, healthy, much the wiser, and we can tell amazing tales over a bit of spirit, over a bit of conversation, over a bit of happiness and joy, and together we will make all of our lives better through extremeness. Folks, like, share, subscribe to the K.O.E. Nation. Be sure to follow me on Twitch and live a more extreme life, which means, oh, wait, like, don't ever follow the worst advice you've ever gotten in your life. Just be yourself. No, be better than yourself. You can be better than yourself every day. I can be better than myself than I was the day before. We all can be better than we were the day before. And if we strive for that, even if you fail 1,000 times, but that's what you strive for. That, folks, is a goal worth achieving. That is something we're striving for. And that is living your life extreme. So, folks, thank you. God bless every last one of you. I hope to see you back here, but I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your King of Extreme, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, the reigning, defending, revolutionary wrestling podcast champion, the conqueror of the ethereal, and one damn handsome man, if I do say so myself. Signing off, handing it off. God bless every last one of you beautiful people. This one's for you.